4-2 formation. Change down we go, racing for the first time this season. 3 hours of GT action is go.
It's very tight as they come down. Group of cars coming in. This has all got trouble written all over it. This is G3 cars.
Drop downhill there, head towards the Aqua Minerale. Imola, of course. There's another one off through the gravel. As wide as possible as they drop downhill, put it back from the inside line. Yes, he did. Through he goes.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Season 11 of AOR's GT3 Tier 1. It's the Speedy Boys again. We're in America, Indianapolis. Now, I'm Rage F1, as always, and I'm joined by my co-commentator, Jamie Ellis, TwinBarrelJay. I've heard, or been told at least, that sometimes, but mainly on Thursday evenings, he likes to sneak into the local confectionery factory and wallow in the flumps and all of the marshmallows just to keep himself warm in the winter. Is that true, Jamie?
Well, we can't afford a conventional heating currently.
Yes.
So, yeah, I guess marshmallows are as good as any, right?
Yeah,
I'd recommend them wholeheartedly.
The only way to stay warm in times like these is through confectionery, I've heard. Anyway, that's how I keep
It
warm.
is. You need a good bath and a shower afterwards, but
well, doesn't
it can be a cold one after you've warmed up.
Like the marshmallows, don't they have that nice kind of sugary flour on them that just pats you dry, like quite nicely?
Yes, sugar and marshmallows historically not sticky at all.
I mean, a bit like Jelly Babies, they've got that coating that just keeps them dry, you know? I reckon you just kind of bathe yourself in that afterwards, just like, you know, walk through a little light smug as the water drips cleanly and delicately off your behind, you know, as you walk straight out of the you know, the area where you like to wallow on a Monday, possibly Thursday evening.
We're at Indianapolis, folks. For a 1.5 hour race in AOR.
Tinker van der Velde is currently the championship leader, guys. This is what I really want to get on you, not Jamie's behind covered in weird sugary powder. George Boothby.
Completely unnecessary.
Well, it isn't. I've heard these stories. I'm just relaying it to the people. They want to know. George Boothby currently on 179 points in second place. Grantis Caracas in third place with 176 points. Luke Whitehead in fourth place with 175 points. And get this, Mikhail Statsenko in fifth place with 172 points. This baby's wide open. This puppy is for the taking.
It is, absolutely. It's obviously George Boothby had to relent his lead after missing last round out, but he may well get his revenge this time as the Ferrari's looking incredibly strong in practice. And the Honda's seemingly nowhere. So for the second race in a row, I think we could see the championship swing massively here in a track that, you know, has been a bit of a struggle for the last few years. But I think we've got a bit of a I'm not sure what kind of race it's gonna show up. Really, I've not really raced it much on the update. It's not a track I know too well, but it's got some very high sausage curbs.
What do you like a high sausage?
And, well, you're gonna love a few corners on this track, and there's some big wide open sections as well for possibility of 3 or 4 wide, as if they needed any more invitation in this league so far.
This track predominantly though, NASCAR, well not this one, Indianapolis, possibly, technically, could it host a Grand Prix?
It has hosted a Grand Prix.
In this layout or others?
It was a slightly different layout.
Because we had tyre gates, didn't we?
We did. I think they went onto the banking a little bit earlier in the F1 days, and then had the incident that set Formula One in America back by about a decade. But we're back now. But I don't think Indianapolis will be too keen to have them back anytime soon, considering that tyre game.
But didn't we saw a Jordan in 3rd place for the first time ever because of the incident?
In 3rd?
In 3rd, yes.
Yeah, we had the 2 Ferraris just take off into the distance. I didn't realise we were going into a Formula One back in time episode of a podcast.
We're waiting for them to get round on their first qualifying. So this is what we're doing.
Right, I see. You're playing for time.
We're on board with Grantis Caracas currently. He's in 1st place, obviously, because he's the first one going round. So we'll see where he finishes when he comes across the line. No one setting a time just yet, as far as I can see. We should be having times coming through, haven't they? Or maybe that was an out lap we saw just before. He's definitely on a lap now. Let's go on board with Grantis Caracas, the Lithuanian. See what he can do across the line then, as we come down towards the straight. I've got no idea on times down here. It's complete mystery. Grantis Caracas then, what's he going to do? A 1:34.5. BMW Neil's behind. Walsingham coming in 700ths just behind him. Camera, Black Gold Saw, a couple of tenths back. Grantis Caracas holds on then. Let's see what some of the really fast boys can do in other cars. Tinker Van der Velde, current championship leader. Let's see if he can threaten the top boys. If possible, George Boothby goes fastest, Jay. I'm running out of air.
That's all right. Come up for some. We're gonna need plenty of it for the hour-and-a-half bumper feature race that we've got today.
Yeah, we forgot to say.
Yeah, so it's a 1 hour and 30 race, unlike the normal hour scheduled for the other 6 rounds. We're going to have 1 mandatory pit stop, but the big difference this time is that they can refuel. So it opens up the strategy with there being obviously an extra half an hour on top, and with the ability to refuel, it's going to make the potential for some people maybe to go for some shorter stints early on. With some less fuel to have a lighter car to be a little bit quicker, and some to go as deep as they can into the race, but that'll make it very slow towards the beginning. Ferrari's looking incredibly strong here. Boothby's actually a couple of tenths quicker than he went in practice even.
Oh, wow.
But everybody else was competitive as well in terms of the McLarens. BMW's very strong here as well as Audi's. Hondas seem nowhere, but that doesn't really seem to matter for Luke Whitehead, the Bop. As he's already put himself up into 4th place, which is about 20 places higher than he was in practice. So saving it for the race day, obviously.
Can't quite see that improvement just yet, because we're on board with Tinker Van der Velde, current championship leader. I thought we might as well give him the airtime, seeing as, he deserves it at this stage in the championship. But we got those boys just behind with the 170 odd points, all kind of vying and fighting for position. Someone, though, is going to benefit massively from that, I guess, is George Boothby. He's on 170 odd points and he's in a Ferrari, so it should be a good afternoon for him. As we watch Tinker Van der Velde come down towards the line. I can't quite see what time he's on, but he does actually only go best 10th. The championship leader at the moment, only 10th. Reigning champion George Boothby is currently in the top spot. Have we got any movers and shakers? I think we do. Walsingham up a 10th or so. He's in the middle section. God knows where. It's America. Every racetrack looks the same in the infield section, Jay.
There's some sharp turns and wherever they could thread a track through around the oval that's pre-existing, obviously much more important to them.
It's 100% that way as well. It's
a bit more like where I thought the Hondas would go. Although Luke White again, he's just improved to just 3 tenths off the lead now, back up into the top 10 in 7th place. And Innestrosa's in 9th in a Honda, so maybe they're not as far off as I thought.
Wow.
Every time I try and count them out, I really want to count them out for one race just to make it interesting. Van der Velde is obviously in the championship, and as you say, well deserved. I mean, last race out, obviously he had a great charge through the field to rescue some really good points to get quite nicely into the top 10 from a pretty terrible start. So yeah, he's deserving of that top spot at the moment, but they're going to have to work hard today to keep it. As I think that's Caracas has now gone up to 3rd place, 1.5 tenths as Hardier goes to the front now, just
goodness.
2 thousandths of a second in front of George Boothby.
Ferrari power coming to turn, it seems. Then well done. Yeah, Ferrari top 5 pretty much, and a smattering of McLaren and BMW. We do have some news actually from the car front, because we do have some changearoos. We have Angus Fender has changed from M6 to M4. We've got, I'll leave that bit of news in a minute. Sherritt has also changed car, so he, I'm sure, will null his points. Big news though today, Tortellini man, Mr. Malinowski, has actually retired from the season, so we won't see Malinowski unfortunately take part. I don't think we ever did. He was ill the first session, and he missed the last 2, so yeah, no further part for Malinowski, even though he didn't actually start, so he's not going to actually start the whole season, is what I'm trying to say, Jay. It's all here.
That's all right. He's probably little down after yesterday. If you know, you know. Of Malinowski. But yeah, I mean, I think he sneaked in, as we saw at the end of last race, for a couple of laps because of the crazy action that was going on. Probably just wanted to watch. But it's a shame. Hopefully we'll get him in a full season soon, because we know how competitive he can be up the top end of that table, which is currently being dominated by the Ferraris. 4 of the top 5. We've got Patter and Merles up there as well. Samir Forsh in 7th. The only one's able to break, or the only one that's able to break that top 5 at the moment is Isaac Price in that M4, who's only 0.02 of a second off Ardier. So
very good time.
Still a very good chance for pole position for him. And again, I mean, just look at it. It's less than half a second all the way back to 20th place.
At the moment, Jay, I'm watching Manuel Meyer in a Audi in 9th place. It's one of the other German manufacturers that's obviously quite well around here. Not really seen him up in the top 10 at all this season. I think that's Dave just putting a time there, apparently going against the bop again, like you like to say. And Meyer does hop up to 7th place. Someone else went in there, I want to say it was Petrochenko, gets up to 8th place, so fantastic improvement from him. But yeah, big shout out to the man Meyer in that Audi in 7th place. Really good showing for that car. But yeah, Dave McCormack showing you why he's a championship contender this season. Possible champion for Dara in the Williams Esports team. Current teammate Tinker van der Velde down in 17th place, Jay. Obviously not found the right speed in that Honda. Luke Whitehead obviously again a little bit further down, but I mean, we're half a second from the lead down to 22nd place. So that just shows you how close these boys are in comparison of pace. But yeah, stand-up performance, Isaac Price and Meyer, I think. Dara McCormack, I mean, he's an alien anyway, right?
He is, and we say he goes against the grain of the bot, but there are only 2 Porsches this year, and the other one has yet to set a time, so it could be good here. We don't know. We've only seen it in the hands of Dave McCormack, and he is fantastic. So
who is that that's not set a time? Let's have a look. Oh, it's Lois Rayner, or Rayner. I'm going to call him Lois Rayner. It's easier. In the Gilles Esports Elite team. Assuming he's French. Go on, Lois. Do it for the French. I'm sorry if you're not French. Jardier still in the lead, Jay. Separated by 2 thousandths of George Boothby.
This could shuffle massively in the final runs here. I mean, we were commenting on Luke Whitehead as the lead Honda up into the top 10 with that great lap. He's already back to 16th, so it's going to be about getting your laps in this next run, really, because if you muck it up or you make a mistake, you can find yourself 10 places further back, as is the competition there. But yeah, we're about to wind up for final runs to see who will take pole position in Indianapolis then. And I couldn't call it. Well, I think it's going to be a Ferrari, but as you say, we've got the BMW and the Porsche and the Audi Mayer that could potentially spoil the party. So McLaren's up there as well. Crackus, I think he's 3rd in the championship, isn't he? So
he's right up there. He's in the top 5 at least.
Improve in a couple of positions.
We're on board currently, Jay, just so you know. We're on board with George Boothby, actually inside George Boothby. It's very warm and coldly. It's very nice.
What you do is your business.
I know. I mean, it's very nice. I'm the passenger currently inside George Boothby as we go round. I think the final sector.
That was any better.
What, if I'm a passenger or if I'm, right there with him? Just imagine me next to him in the car, snuggling up for warmth. That's where I am right now. as he goes. That's fine. Goes through turns 12 then, and ducks into turn 13. Like I say, it is quite hard to work out where we are on this track because it all looks the same. It's like Where's Wally, but motorsport version. I think we're coming through turn 14 now. It's nice and long, and yeah, slightly curved. There we go. Over the line, George Boothby. He's going to start the session now. That was obviously a warm-up because he hasn't improved. 2 minutes,
it shows the
56 to go.
33.8, so he was a tenth shy of his best. So I mean that was a flying lap.
Okay.
Yeah. At this time of night in these temperatures, you want to be getting the heat in on that first quote-unquote flying lap, and this is when they're probably up to temperature. Someone's kicked up some dust ahead of him. That's Hardier. So he's following. They're matching each other.
Yes,
I'm aware that they're talking to each other today.
Are they?
Was George in Yassit before?
Yeah, I'm going to say he was, yeah. There's another car that looks like it's in the Yassit.
Samir's also in the Yassit team.
He is indeed, yes.
I didn't think George was before this, but maybe I'm...
Can always check it out in the standings in a minute. But yeah, they are on laps now, George. But yeah, there was a push lap before, but I think it was more a heat lap. As you like to see with these cars, Jay, sometimes the first lap isn't always the full push lap. It's not until they get one under their belt. The tyres open up so much so that they can actually push for position. At the moment, George Boothby has got the tyre underneath him. He's 2 tenths up, and he's got, well, a good tenth and majority of the rest of the tenth to keep to make himself the new pole position sitter, but that's only for the time being. Jardier is improving himself by a tenth. He needs to find another tenth for him to be the potent of the two, but they are coming towards the pointy end of the lap now, Jay. I think Jardier's going to improve slightly. Let's see what the time difference is. It's only inside of the 7. There you go. Boothby beats him. 800s up there on the board for Jardier to do next time around, but it's in the lap. He was up 2 tenths and he lost it in the middle sector, so definitely more time to find that those behind are actually struggling. Isaac Price 5 tenths down on his fastest. Grantis Caracas jumps up into 3rd place out of nowhere, Jay. He literally Randy Orton'd all of us. Or was it John Cena? I can't remember. Which one's the one you can't see? I think it's Cena.
Yes, I have an equal knowledge of WWE
okay.
than I do of motorsport. I've heard of John Cena, but I'm not going to do the noise. Okay. Yeah, it's great. I mean, we got 2 cars following each other, fighting it for pole position as they came over the line there. But that McLaren showing pace as well in the hands of Caracas. We're going to see if anyone else could get involved in that picture up the top, although it looks a 2-way fight at the moment. I'm just wondering if RDA is going to catch traffic. I'm trying to see. Whereas BMW Neil's ahead, so that shouldn't be too bad for him.
It's a lovely bit of traffic I'd like to be behind. Not going to lie, mate.
Well, that white boy's going to kick off an
air.
almighty slipstream down the main straight, so it might actually help him out as they come out onto the bank. No, they don't. See, I'm as confused as you are with this track.
That M6 must be pretty wide, though. He cuts through air like a polar bear on methamphetamines. Just straight ahead. That's it. You just slip into that slipstream like no one's business.
It's another one for the book. Lovely.
Thank you. Darren McCormack currently on board. He's not improving, I must say, Jay. Currently on the bubble. I don't think there's any other improvements. Oh, as he actually goes off onto the banking, so no further for him.
The pole sitter has improved by just over a tenth. That's Boothby and Hardier over the line on their final effort. I think there was improvements from both of them.
Francis Crackers across the line. No improvements, Jay. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. Yeah, almost 2 tenths. George Boothby is now on pole.
Price, no improvement there. He is done. Patat is still somewhere around. I think he's actually in the pit. Jura Petrochenko technically could improve here, but he's on the bubble at the moment. Those who are improving back further down the grid, Gert Fischer currently in 29th. He's up 2 tenths on his last lap. So Tinker van der Velde, current championship leader, he's in 21st. He's up a tenth, but that's really not going to worry anyone, I don't think. Jura Petrochenko currently a tenth up. He's not really going to worry many people, but could possibly get into the top 5 with this one. Part of the Whipperman Racing team. Let's see what he can do as he's following, I think, a McLaren. I can't tell who it is, and that McLaren's off us, and you can say cheese onion paste as he comes down the back straight. He's going to come across the line, Jay. We're going to get some times. Is it going to be improvement? Is Dave up for grabs? He's not. That is it. All she wrote. Nothing for Jura Petrochenko. Hetich was up some time, but he's lost it. Manuel Meyer is coming through next. He is in 11th place in the Audi. Manuel Meyer, he sounds like a skier, doesn't he? Do you reckon he's from Austria?
Yeah, maybe. I'm worried about making any nationality hunt.
I don't want to get into this again.
Chats after a few races ago, but yeah, I mean, apart from the front 2, Well, I think Camera just might have moved up into 9th place there. Apart from the front two, we didn't see many improvements. Very much like last time out towards the end of qualifying. But qualifying session it is. I mean, that was a mega lap from George Boothby right at the end. Him and Hardier were a few thousandths between each other all the way through, and then he just pulled it out right at the end. And but it's going to be a Ferrari front row. Grant Caracas, right in that fight in that McLaren. Didn't potentially expect that, but it's going to make the race interesting for sure.
Who's that? Sorry.
Grant Caracas up there in third in that McLaren.
In the McLaren, yeah. We didn't say that the McLarens were going to be as spicy as they turned out to be, because we've got quite a few at the top. You've got Grantis Caracas, Darren McCormack, Jura Petrchenko and Hetic all in McLarens and up the top end. I can't actually join the session yet, Jay. I don't know if you've got the same issue. It's just sat in the menu, but we'll sit here for a little longer. I've got confirmation. Manuel is German. I was pretty close. He sounds like a skier. Probably does some skiing on the weekends in a lovely winter. Maybe a March afternoon. Decides, pop down the Alps. Are there Alps in Germany? I don't think there are there?
There's not the Alps in Germany, no.
I don't know.
The Alps are where the Alps are. But
okay, I don't know.
I'm sure there are skiing mountains.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I can't go any further into this session, Jay. Can you?
I can. So that's a little worrying.
The drive is not open for me to join. I am not able to jump in one bit. What we might have to do is hop out and hop back in again like a little spring chicken. But at the moment,
with a couple of minutes to go, I'd recommend we try that.
Okay, let's quickly do
fairly
that.
sharpish. Yeah.
I'll do that very sharpish, boys and girls. We're a multicultural society these days. I will quickly just show you the background rather than what's happening on my screen. There we go. We're going back into the race. I do apologise. As we jump back into the session. There we go. Hopefully, he says, it doesn't have any issue with all of the drivers. And what I have here, let's just see if it lets me go between them. Yes, he says.
Yes, looking promising.
There we go. Just had to restart the platform and we're all good. We're back in the race. Jay, do you want to run through the top 10 and I'll catch you afterwards once I've caught up?
Yeah, I'm sure I can manage that.
Okay.
So it's the Yas Heat boys that are locking out the front row in those Ferraris then. So it's George Boothby on pole. Alongside him is Hardier in that other Ferrari. And then it's Grant Caracas alongside Patet in the other Ferrari, off Patet that is. Isaac Price in the BMW M4 is on the third row alongside Dave McCormack getting that Porsche once again nicely into the top 10. In sixth place on the fourth row, we've got Jura Petrchenko in the McLaren alongside Angus Fender in the BMW M4 also. And then it is Arthur Camera again in a BMW. They're looking competitive here on the fifth row alongside Hugo Merles.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for filling in. You went through rows as well. I've been mightily impressed. I just noticed
I did the easy ones. As we all know, it gets difficult past that.
It does. You get into the 20s and you start losing mass. I've noticed P8 and P9 are both in the BS competition team. So it's good to see those boys back up and fighting proud. But let's go into outside the top 10, into the middle 20, let's say. So row 6, we have, it is 6, yeah. Row 6, we got, I'm getting confused already, Jake. Hetic and Meyer, Manuel Meyer, the skier. And then into row 7, it's Samir Foch and Lucas Marquardt. Then we've got Tinker van der Velde, current championship leader, will be joined by Tobias Schur on the 8th row of the grid. 9th row of the grid will be Valentin Barrier. You can see him there next to the Whipper. He's going to be called the Whipper from now on. That's Luke Whitehead. BMW Nils and Felix Arndt will be on the 10th row of the grid. Aidan Walshingham and Marek Schintz. Not so much a good turnout for events for Marek Schintz, it seems, today. One of my favourite drivers, got a lovely looking car. Gert Fischer and Black Goldsaw in 23rd and 24th. Haven't seen Black Goldsaw come alive so far this season, have we? It's been a little bit of a slow one for the Dutchman, but never mind. Vanko Wunko Dimitrov in 25th. The Appleman himself in 26th. And then going back, Angel Instroza and Luke Addison in 27th and 28th. And then I think 15th row of the grid would be Cody Sherritt and Tom Gorka. Moving further back behind them, Leon Burnt and Boris will be in 31st and 32nd. Boris starting from the pit though. Obviously didn't get his setups confirmed in time. Marco Yonkers back there in 34th, and Loy's never set a time, it seems, or if he did, it wasn't good enough for a position. He is in 35th and cold dead last. We are away though, Jay. Got a long time to go, so settle in, go grab a coffee or your favourite beverage, get some popcorn or chips, maybe some sweets, who knows. It's going to be an hour and a half of racing around this somewhat mediocre looking track.
I'm sure it's going to be a great track for racing. Yeah, we're going to have to pace ourselves in this one, Rage, because if it peaks as AOR normally does after about 30 to 40 minutes and they're all still nose to tail, we might run out of voice very quickly. But it bodes well if we get an hour of it instead of half an hour. Hopefully we can have a non-AOR type start and everybody can get away cleanly. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I say there's an extra little element of strategy. So just a reminder, it's an hour and a half race rather than the normal scheduled 60 minutes. So we still have the mandatory pit stop, but these guys will have to, or have the option, well, they will have to, but they can refuel, which means they can carry any amount of fuel they like at the start. So it means they have the option to split it down the middle, 45 and 45. They can go a little really light on fuel if they think they're out of position to try and have a lighter car early on and then get out of traffic. Or they can take the third option and go as long as possible and have a nice light car with some new tyres towards the end. So yeah, it could be a race of three halves, this one, in terms of how people choose to use that strategy, which will add an extra element, hopefully, to the brilliant racing that we normally see.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what I would do in a situation like this. It's quite a short, snippy track, isn't it? So it might be hard for drivers to pull away or get rid of other drivers. Can only compare it to something like we saw at Watkins Glen. It doesn't seem so close and twisty as you get round there, so let's just see how it goes. I think they should fuel high and aim low, Jay.
Well, the danger is this corner we just see them go through now. You've got some really wide open, sure. We've got some really wide open straights that then condense to these really tight 90-degree right and left-handers that have got massive inside curbs. So there's the option for them to fan out on those straights, but they've very quickly got to be aware that that apex closes very quickly and you cannot be on the inside. So yeah, just something to watch out for there. But yeah, I mean, the risk of taking a lot of fuel at the beginning is that you have an incident early on and then you can't get to the end stopping. But yeah, let's see. Lead them away, Rage.
We're about to go through. It's green light already, Jay. That was pretty damn quick, wasn't it? They have left. We're on board with Isaac Price. You go to the back, I'll go to the front, and we'll see what happens in the grid. At the moment, it's looking pretty close between them. Anyone going to dive for the front at the very beginning? Jardier's looking good, but doesn't take advantage. There isn't any spinners, at least in the top 10 I can see, Jay. But keep us updated if there's anything going on in the background. George Boothby leads Jardier from Grantis Caracas, Patat, Price, Dara McCormack, all still running next to each other. We haven't seen any spinners, any movers. As far as I can see, there is contact at the top then between Price and, I think, that was Patat in the Ferrari. Out of position, Patat spins. We got a driver off. That's one of the BMWs a little further back. I think that might have been Angus Fender, currently going backwards, unfortunately. He met the grass pretty quickly there, Jay. Any news to report on?
Yeah, Gert Fischer got pretty sideways on turn 3 or 4 and got collected by a couple of cars. And Angel Instroza has just run wide onto the grass. Whether he's forced there, I don't know. He's pretty much to the back of the pack at the moment. But all fairly well behaved. But yeah, we're seeing these massively pinch points as a McLaren gets horribly out of shape towards the middle of the pack.
Oh yeah, as Luke Whitehead's off on the
Luke
grass.
Whitehead's off as well. Yeah, that McLaren I think collected multiple cars there. It was a, well, I'm going to say it was a matte black one, but that just means I don't have the livery.
It was Tinker van der Velde. Tinker van der Velde. I'm on board with him right now. We're going to see what happens. So he was chasing, I think, a Gas Heat liveried 66 car. No, it's not. It's Chill Blast. It's Tinker van der Velde misses his braking point, and he actually collects some of the cars in the middle there, almost hitting Luke Whitehead. And there's a Gas Heat Ferrari round at the back there too. So that must be Samir, the following Gas Heat Ferrari. So that's what happened involving all of those boys. It seems it was a bit of a nasty one. Got caught up behind one of the Hondas, and unfortunately didn't get a very good run through the middle sector. So yeah, no harm done. It looks like it was quite somewhat, at least, pedestrian. We're all good as far as I can see. It was just grass running and a bit of rubbing, Jay.
That's all right. I saw the back end of it. It looked like he completely missed the turn.
He missed the braking point completely.
Yeah, but not as much harm done as seen. The midfield is still incredibly compact and a lot of racing going on within that. As we've got, that is the BMW of Black Goldsort that's been forced off in that M6. He's rejoining the track now, about 10 places further back than he was. With some damage on the back of that M6 now.
Let's hop back and see what we can see what happened with Black Goldsort. So he's going toe-to-toe then with Tinker van der Velde. Not too sure what turn it's in because it looks exactly the same as the turn before it and the one next. But yeah, it looks like Tinker's maybe trying to hold on to a position. Actually, no, Black Goldsort lost it. He just lost it himself. He does hit the barrier, but it's a nice side-on graze. And he's back on the track with only damaged Pride, and he'll be back there with Dimitrov by the looks of things. So yeah, not too bad.
Just quickly in the chat, who is it that's got the lower volume? Is it me or Rage? Just so we know.
I think it's me.
But yeah, it is the two Yassi boys that are broken away at the front at the moment then. So it's George Boothby pulling away with Hardier coming with him. Then a gap to Caracas. And then it's the usual train that we have become so used to so far this season, but it's being led by Isaac Price this time, just ahead of Dara McCormack in 5th, Jura Petchenko 6th, Arthur Kramer is in 7th, Hugo Möllers 8th, Arthur Patter 9th, and Sven Hettich rounds off the top 10. But yeah, unusually for this season, we've got a sort of breakaway pack of those two Ferraris, incredibly dominant at the front at the moment.
Seems that way, doesn't it? Ferrari dominance just absolutely running away with things, which is not a bad thing, really. Nice to have a bit of dominance, Jay. Anyway.
We got Marco Jonkers off towards the back. I don't know if we can... he's gone straight back to the pit lanes. That must have been a bad one. I don't know if we can rewind that.
Jonkers, did you say? Let's have a little look, see what happened with Jonkers. We've gone back 30 seconds. So he's mucking around by the looks of things with Dimitrov and Angel Inostroza, but I'm not too sure who's that's behind him. It's one of the blue liveried. Samir Foch is close too. So coming through the first sector. Oh, he just loses it. Loses the rear end. Wasn't a bad issue at all, actually. I think that is a... I'm giving up. No further action for me, I think, from what's his name? Marco Jonkers. Pulls it into the pit after what was probably a bad start. Decides doesn't want to compound it with an hour-and-a-half race. So that's the end of the race for him. No further action, Jay.
Oh, it's balancing barriers collected by an Audi. We're looking back at 23rd, 24th. It's Cody Sherritt that hit the back of him. And we've got Lucas Margvar and Tom Gorka going wheel to wheel now. Gert Fischer recovering from that early spin. Balancing barrier getting all out of shape out wide as Black Goldsort now looks to make a move down his inside, down the main straight, off the banking they come. And we might get some focus on the midfield this time, right? Because the battling is there, and with the front two pulling away, although of course keep a gap on it, because Boothby versus Hardier is definitely a battle I'd want to see. Yeah, with Marco Jonkers, it's difficult. He might have sustained some early damage that then made the car a bit undrivable, and that's why he's returned to the pits. Although he has left the silver, so I don't think so.
Yeah, I think he's done, unfortunately. No further action from him today. Never mind. We'll have to wait for next session for Jonkers.
Won a pretty good battle. There's one between Luke Whitehead and Schintz at the moment. The Honda and the Mercedes, with Nils, BMW Nils just behind as well.
We'll hop up to that in a second as we're watching Black Goldsort getting past Rayner.
Oh, it's contacts with Luke Whitehead.
Not surprised. Rayner's forced onto the grass. Let's go on board. Oh yes, is that Schintz? Oh no, it's BMW Nils wiggling off back there. But yeah, Marek Schintz, was he suffering from a little bit of Luke Whitehead wrath?
Yeah, the panel beaters have got to be out again. Luke Whitehead's just given him very marginal space, and it's pushed him out onto the grass.
Well, looks like Black Goldsort's making up for the accident he incurred himself in the opening part of this race, as he gets past two cars. I think that was Valentin Barrier and Lois Rayner there in 29th and 28th place. He's up to 27th. Gert Fischer is up next. We've got a big old train of cars going all the way up to Leon Byrne in the orange and blue Honda, as he was fighting, I think, there with Appleman himself, currently in 20th place, as they go very, very close to himself. Actually, no, the Appleman is he's actually been overtaken Let's have a look, see where they are. Who's that in between? Is that Tinker van der Velde? It is.
Van der Velde, yeah.
He's been overtaken by Leon. Has he got problems? It's looking like he's going much slower than he should be. They haven't swapped round. No, they have now on the timings. There we go.
Well, he's about where he was qualifying, so he's fighting these straight up. I mean, when the lead Honda, Luke Whitehead, it's up in 15th. I think it's just the pace of the Hondas today around this track, unfortunately. And, you know, this battle in the first 3 races would have been for somewhere in the top 10. But he's going to have to fight, as he did last time out, to try and take away the maximum number of points if he's got any hope of holding on to that championship lead going into the final 3. And yeah, the 2YC boys just checking out. This is Mercedes level domination at the front. Grant Crackers is valiantly holding on to them, you know.
He is.
His 34.630 is his quickest lap, which he's just done last time around. For context, that's still about 3 tenths slower than Joliet and about 6 tenths slower than George Boothby.
Here we go. Right, I had some problems with my microphone. I'm now going to rectify them, so apologies.
No worries. Where are we watching?
Right, that should have fixed the problems with the microphone. There we go.
Oh,
So,
that's much louder.
yeah, sorry, terribly sorry about that. We're back as we should be. Normal sound resumed. Sorry about that. But there we go. I managed to... Yeah, my actual system volume was down to 44%, so that was why. So we're back to normal. Can you hear me much more clearer now, Jay?
Yes, I'm now deafened because I turned it up.
Turn me down now. Turn me down. Let me down gently. We're on board with Dara McCormack, by the way. He's fighting on the back of Price to try and get past. So we'll watch out to see how well he can do. See if he can make some moves up the grid.
Yeah, we'll see how... Well, I'm bored and see how this Porsche is, I guess, around this circuit. It's the weakness of this car is historically the straight line speed, but it's not been in Dara's case this year. He's just found a way with the setups. These sort of right angle corners, you'd expect it to be very dominant in them. Change direction on the Porsche is incredible normally. Out onto the banking, see what straight line speed is in the toe of Isaac Price in that BMW then. Not really making much of an impression.
No.
So he's going to do it the hard way, but he's got an hour and 20 to work out a way to do it, but in good positions at the moment. Much later on the brakes, just able to change that direction. It's those 90-degree corners, with which there are 3 or 4 around here. The Porsche is so strong. And certainly looking a lot more settled than it did last time out, Paul Ricard anyway.
Just trying to think of games where you can actually get some racing around Indianapolis GP circuit. It must just be iRacing where you can really get a good stab at it at a competitive level. I can't think of any other games, possibly Project Cars, but that's not really sim level. You know, there is very limited running that you could do before this, so a lot of this track, this track especially, must be completely new to, I would say, probably half the field here. Maybe we've got some crossover drivers in different sims, I'm sure, but yeah, doing quite well all considering. I for one have liked this pack, Jay. It's been good, isn't it?
Oh, they're Watkins Glen's a brilliant track. Indy, I don't seem to remember it being much fun to drive for me personally, but it might be on this one. And then my mind's gone black and I can't even remember the third one. But I just wanted to point out, you know, these guys have, the pack's been out for months. This is probably like their 20th, 30th race where they're competitive. So they'll know the track.
They'll know the score, hopefully.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. So, obviously stay on board with Dara to see how he gets on. I'm just seeing, going to drop back through the field to see where the fights are.
Yes.
So there is a battle with Arthur Cameron Petrochenko behind him, with Hugo Möllers in tow. And then there's a massive train really forming behind Arthur Passett, which is in the Ferrari in 9th place all the way back to Mayer in 14th. So that's probably the one to keep an eye on, just because of the sheer number of cars involved on the back end of the top 10. And Luke Whitehead starting to catch that group as well. So once again, not in the most competitive car, but he's starting to make up his way through the grid just through racing nous alone, I'm sure.
Who was that? Sorry. I was turning you up as well, so we had nice clarity between both of us.
Oh, I'm a little... Right, got you.
No,
Luke,
it was both of us.
Whitehead.
Ah, lovely. It was both of us. It's my settings, not yours. Don't you worry. You're perfect for me, but I think with the cars going round, it is slightly different. I don't know why it changes every time. We get to a perfect volume, and then one of us off. That's never a good thing. I mean, it's probably good that you don't hear as much as me as possible, but we're still on board with Darren McCormack. What's Luke Whitehead doing then? He's down there in 15th place. Who's he just got past, Jay?
So he shoved off Marek Shins.
Ah, of course he did.
Gave him very specific specification width of a Mercedes worth of room, i.e. the exact width of the car, and which isn't enough. But he's catching this long train then, so this is probably the closest train on the grid. So it's Alfa Patti in the Ferrari in 9th place, being followed by Hettich, Bender, Arndt, Mayer, and then Luke Whitehead is catching this group. So he's got a good chance to the top 10 if he can get onto the back of this group and use his patented rubbing and racing technique to get himself through. Gap out front is staying fairly steady actually. After the booth we had a good few laps. RDO seems to be able to hold on to him now. It's holding steady at about 1.2 seconds. So that's definitely a gap that can be influenced by strategy. Dave has got past Isaac Price, hasn't he? Up into 4th place now. So we cut away from it as soon as the move happened, I'm afraid, Rage.
Oh no, I'm very sorry. It's just the way it goes, though, isn't it?
Move, to be fair.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes. So yeah, there you go. The move that we were watching unfortunately happened. We went to George Booth. Sorry, we went to Luke Whitehead, and he was doing nothing apart from trying to make up some time on the 2 Audis ahead, which he has done actually. We're less than a second below, so we'll keep that in mind. It's still around 9/10, but yeah, this is the move, unfortunately, that we missed, and I think we probably missed the opportunity to actually go back and review that loveliness. But never mind. What have we got going on a little bit further back? Walsingham's getting very close to those around him, so maybe let's focus on what's going on with the Appleman himself and Walsingham with Visceral Esports to see if he can get past the number 73. So he got a bit of battle damage on that car. He might do. Let's go inside him to see if we can get a better view.
Yeah, McLaren versus McLaren down the main straight off the banking. See if he can have a thought of chucking it down the inside. Say there's that one of those massive sausage curbs on that right hand side, so he wants to stay as far left as possible, given space from Apple, who will now have the inside line for the left-hander. His car will drift out wide naturally by taking that tighter line. Walsingham had nowhere to go, and a little flash of the lights there to say that's not cricket. And they were as they were. That's the problem. You can't clatter across the inside curb at a few of these corners the way you normally would. And meant he just had to push him out a little wider, which compromised Apple's turn in for the next one. I think that was all fair enough, though, to be honest.
Looked good
A
enough.
little bit of rubbing.
Why not?
That's all good.
Yeah, why not? He's got to just shove it up the inside, hasn't he, really? Just got to go for it, like now. I don't think he's going to. Never mind, into turn 7. Nice 90-degree left-hander. Into a 90-degree right-hander. Into another 90-degree left-hander. And up the inside. Lovely stuff there from Walsingham. Actually does throw it up one of those corners. And that's McLaren on McLaren and Walsingham up into 19th place, Jay. Lovely job. Off we go.
Yeah, caught him napping that.
He did.
That was a brilliant move. That's one that you've got to know the circuit very well to make that kind of move. I've got a feeling he's done that before. Caught him completely napping, and one of those where you pass before your opponents even realised.
Yeah, just shoved it straight up the inside. That was a lovely little left, right, left, right, left, right. They're all 90-degree turns here, Jay. There's no real differentiation. Oh my God, there's no real difference.
Addison in 25th just hit the wall coming onto the banking.
Lovely.
I think he's all right, but he just didn't seem to turn. He's already got quite a lot of damage on that Honda.
So go on board with him.
Taken by Gorka.
I think we may have missed him. No, we're here. Let's see what happens. It was Luke Addison, you say, yeah?
It was.
We're on board with Luke Addison. Going through 14 now, I think. He's going round the side of Gorka, I think. Oh, gets onto the grass. Only a little tap. It might have actually been Valentine Barrier who was trying to go around, actually. The Aston Martin. Is it 72? Yes, it was Barrier. And I thought didn't quite make it. But no harm done. Just a little tippity tap, Jay.
Yeah, I don't know if you actually went all the way to... I'm sorry, I'm trying to watch it back on the stream. Right, so where are we on board with?
It's
We've
okay.
got some penalties coming in. Sherritt's got a 5-second penalty down in 31st.
He has indeed. I don't think we got any further up, but let's have a little look. Grantis Caracas still in 3rd place. Boothby and RDA still 1st and 2nd place. We haven't really seen much go on there.
Maybe go on board with Sven Hettich in 10th place while you're going through that.
Okay, let's go on board with Sven Hettich. Come on, Sven. Ah, lovely. He's going after Patat. Okay, good shout, Jay. Thank you very much. 94 car. Moving to the inside. Was a little tap there. Don't think there was any harm done. Can he get a move done on the inside? He's got Scher there. Tobias trying to make a move too, but doesn't make it. Oh, there was a little bit of contact, but we're okay. That's going to give Scher a real good go, but no movement there. That's unfortunate for the 94 car of Patat. He's not had a good start. Started so far up, and he's lost quite a few of his positions throughout the race. But you never know. He could have a heavy car, Jay. What's going to go on with all of this information, eh? When it comes to pit stops, who's got the main amount of fuel in? I'm not too sure. We'll have to see. Is that the same Inestrosa from the Gran Turismo World Finals? It is, Graham. It is indeed. Unfortunately, though, he is down in... Whereabouts is he? I think he's outside the top 20 at the moment, isn't he? Struggling a little bit with this.
He's down in 31st. He got taken out fairly early. He's currently bringing up the rear of the field along with our championship leader, Van der Velde, who's in last place at the moment.
Goodness.
So I think we've missed something.
Yes, we might have done.
Because he was running in about 18th place, wasn't he?
Let's just hop back 30 seconds. No, he's still back there, even 30 seconds ago. So yeah, not too sure what happened with Angel and Tinker Van der Velde. Look, all alone on their own, unfortunately, with no real explanation of why they're running that far behind. Yeah, can't tell you, Jake. Unfortunately, we have missed that one.
Angel saw caught up in a couple of incidents, so I know why he's back there. I think it's the Van der Velde one we missed, but I mean, it's pretty big for the championship. Obviously, he's the one clearly into the 220 odd points. He has a championship lead of 41 points going into this race. This could definitely turn it on its head when George Boothby, P2 in the championship, is leading the way.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Unfortunately, though, guys, we missed it. We can't be everywhere, and that is a prime example. If we're at the top end of the grid, we miss most stuff that happens at the bottom end. Luke Whitehead still chasing those Audis. He's not having much luck in closing the gap, Jay. His Audis are obviously pretty good where they need to be.
Within a second now. It was, when we were talking about it earlier, it was nearly 2. So he's caught the back of it. This is the pack that was being held up by Patat. So I'm interested to see if Hettich can break away now. And whether anyone else can try to make a move on after Patat. He seems to be the one struggling a little bit. But yeah, Luke Whitehead, he's within the second now, which he wasn't. So this is where he can start to get stuck in. And then looking up, I mean, yeah, this is a good opportunity, this race, right, to see some of the midfield action that we don't normally see, because we're normally nose to tail for the top 10 from lights out to the end of the race, but with the domination of the 2 Ferraris and the rest of the top 5 sort of strung out a little bit, yeah, it's a good opportunity to see some people that we might not normally in the midfield, where they're fighting all the way through for every single position.
Yeah, right you are.
In every race we do, we just don't always see it.
We don't. You're right. At the moment, we're on board with Tobias Scher. He's the next person in the line to get past Patat, so hopefully we'll see him make a move as we come down the back straight. It wasn't as close as Hettich was just a lap or so ago, but I think he might have a little move here, Jay. He's only got the outside to play with. Patat covers the inside quite nicely, and I think that is a move there for Tobias Scher. He's going to be up into 10th place. That's a perfect place to make a move happen, because he's got a nice little run-off strip. I say nice, it's only about half a car's width, but it's all you need. Angus Fender getting very close onto the back of Scher there too. Actually, round the outside. Don't think that's going to happen there. He gave it a good old go, but no movement, unfortunately. Funnily enough, Arndt actually gets past him. No, he didn't. He had to settle.
He thought he did.
He had to settle. Never mind. Luke Whitehead, though, a little bit further behind, is coming up to the back of that gaggle of Audi, so we'll keep an eye on his gap. He's 2/10 back from Meyer, who's a 3/10 back from Arndt, who's also 3/10 back. You can see him in the back of the screen there as he goes for a move. Don't think he's going to get it done, so let's just hop back to Manuel Meyer, the German skiing sensation on board the Audi. He's got Arndt just ahead of him, but he's got Luke Whitehead trying to get past, and it's only, Jay, for 14th place. Unfortunately, the Honda's not doing very well around here.
No, it's not, but in what's been a Honda-dominated championship, to be the lead Honda by quite a bit could be very important if the next 3 races become Honda-dominant tracks again. Luke Whitehead's obviously fairly well up there in terms of the championship, so it's these kind of races that can decide it. If the Hondas become dominant again for the next 3 races, every position he could get here could be a benefit against the likes of Van der Velde, Stratsenko, Strozer.
Fender, sorry to interrupt you. Oh, it's a huge little knock, but it's banging left and right between Fender and Arndt. Meyer there caught up in that. Luke Whitehead tries to go around the outside, but he has to settle. Oh, and they do touch, Jay. Luke Whitehead's caught on the inside as well, but he's managed to muscle his way through 3 of those. Oh my goodness, that was a turn of events that I kind of want to watch back, Jay. Let's hop back 30 seconds and we'll go on board with Luke Whitehead so we can see it happen. So there you go. Slight little tap as we go through turns 1. They're still fighting. The 2 Audis going left to right. Meyer, unfortunately, getting caught up and actually holding on to that, I think, was Meyer in 25th. So it wasn't. It was his teammate that got caught up. It was Arndt, wasn't it? That unfortunately got caught up, and Angus Fender in the BMW. Angus really missing out. He's back down to 22nd place, Jay.
Yeah, it all started because he was obviously forced off, and it's strange. Rather than waiting to rejoin when there was space, he decided to create his own space by coming back on, and then they just continued to make contact for about the next 3 corners. Felix Arndt is now into the pits to repair that damage. What it's allowed is BMW Nils and Marek Schintz to get involved in this deal, and they're now up to 14th and 15th place. It's Nils on the back of Luke Whitehead, looking to make a move into turn 1, thinks better of it. But yeah, after they've been battling each other, they've sorted out their differences and are right in this fight now.
Yeah, they are. So Schintz losing out position to BMW Nils. BMW Nils really getting quite competitive with that BMW. It's taken him a while. But look at those around him. That's the M6, isn't it, still? The other BMWs ahead, so Camera and Price, are in the M5, 4, 3, 2, 4. Yeah, thank you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't need that.
No, Barrier was apparently drifting in the background, according to Rico. I didn't see him drifting, but I'm sure he was. Luke Whitehead still looking for a way past Meyer. Manuel Meyer, unfortunately, or fortunately, getting past that incident that involved Fender and Leon Burnt. No, not sorry, Leon Burnt. It was who was it behind with the other Audi? Oh, he's pitted, hasn't he?
Tobias Scher was the other Audi.
Yeah, Tobias. I've got a funny feeling they might be together, you know.
Meyer and Tobias are, they're 2 Prime E-Racing AOR cars that were running low in the stern last time out in Paul Ricard as well, just at the back end of the top 10. They're doing so again. Some good showings for the Audi and for those 2 boys. So yeah, those 2 early stops. So Angel and Strozer's decided to pit at the back of the field. He's now taken a mandatory pit stop, as has Arndt, obviously after that damage in the Audi. So those 2 are the first 2 that will comfortably get to the end now on fuel, I would hope. An hour and 5 should be all right.
Yeah, just about.
As long as the fuel tanks aren't limited, which I don't think they are for this series. So yeah, they should be okay now. So we're into that sort of window now where if anybody wants to try it, although an hour is potentially a long, long time to go on those tyres. Be expecting about another 20 minutes before the first normal stops. But yeah, it might be worth a punt for some people, especially with the battles we've seen going on out on track. It might be worth getting out of that. Yeah, it's produced a lot of chaotic racing, but it's not created the close packs that we've seen so far this season. It's interesting. It seems to be a track that's really differentiating the grid a little bit.
It's kind of kept some cars together where it's quite hard to overtake, but if you get the clean air you can run away, and obviously then the Ferraris, which has just been given almost a huge helping. There was quite an interesting move between BMW Nils and Luke Whitehead into, I think it's turn 1. I mean, it could be a different turn, but I think it was turn 1, and nothing happened. Round the outside, BMW Nils tried to go, but there was no movement or space for him to do so, as I think we're about to go through it again, but I'm not sure if BMW Nils is going to be as close. He is. He's got a really good overspeed, Jay. The slipstream is very good for that BMW, it seems. Wants to jump for the inside, tries to dummy Luke Whitehead. No, thank you very much. As Luke Whitehead does get a little bit of a slip from Maya just ahead. As they try again. BMW Nils closer this time.
Yeah, that is the advantage of the M6. It's that insane straight line speed that Luke Whitehead, even with a toe, was vulnerable as he gets a little wide there on the grass, squirrely at the rear of that Honda, but holds on to it. Looks like he's drifting out a little wide. Nils thought about undercutting him, not really enough space without contact, and he'll have to stay in tow for another couple of corners. Might get a good run down here to look down the inside. But yeah, you can see the way that M6, after the initial punch, where they're fairly close to each other in terms of top line speed or acceleration, shall I say, once they start getting in through the middle and high gears, that M6 has really got an advantage. You've got to feel that's why Nils, well, the M4 hasn't been too kind with the bop recently, although here they seem very strong. But that's, I think, why Nils has gone with the M6 to use that straight line speed. But he's going to have to get up a bit earlier to get Luke Whitehead into turn 1 next time round.
He's just at 1 with the car at this stage, isn't he, BMW Nils? Seems any BMW who goes in, he seems to be mighty quick. Much closer this time, Jay. We might have a little bit of a move. By the time we get to the straight, he's going to be right upside Luke Whitehead. Whether he's going to go for the inside again or he's just going to stick on his line. Whitehead moves to the inside. BMW's knees tries to get past into turn 1, but no luck, unfortunately. Lovely little cutback there. Might have a move into turn 2 or 3. Luke Whitehead, though, covers all of the exits. Yeah, no room, unfortunately, in the end for BMW Nils. He's going to have to make it work at another position of the track, Jay. Luke Whitehead's very good in the defence. Seems all you have to do is make one move to the inside and it's all well and good.
Yeah, we've seen already the sector directly afterwards, though. That Honda is very all over the place. That's the second time Luke Whitehead's got out onto the grass and lost the rear end a bit. Nils might be close. Well, he is definitely closer this time around.
100%.
This straight isn't quite long enough, though. He'll think about looking down the inside, but you know that's not going to work on Luke Whitehead. Yeah, I mean, you can make it work around the outside of turn 1 purely because the next corner is a left-hander. So if you can even keep a nose alongside, then you can have the inside line for the next one, which we've seen a few people doing. So it's not necessarily end of the story in terms of whoever's got the inside line, but he's going to have to be brave around the outside, and I think all the drivers on the grid will know that you've got to think twice before going alongside Luke Whitehead. Because there's a high percentage of contacts. Luke Whitehead again getting loose on the grass. That's really compromised him onto the banking. He'll probably try and squeeze left before Nils can get alongside, but he has done. And now that M6 power is going to take him all the way to glory. It's him with the inside line now. We'll see if Luke tries. No, it was just a little show of strength from Nils there, wasn't it? Moved over and moved back to say, not today, I've got you. And yeah, that Honda is looking loose. I wonder if that's the problem around here. I wonder if it's just not very stable. So it's this double right-hander that he's clipping the left-hand side. Better this time round, to be honest. But yeah, job done. Nils marches on.
Yeah, that's the first time you've actually, Luke Whitehead's met a character that's actually been going the other way, i.e. in front of him as opposed to going behind him. So that must be news for him, unfortunately. But good stuff for BMW Nils. I think that was a good few laps in the making, that was. And that's a nice scalp, that, isn't it? Luke Whitehead. So yeah, he'll be very happy with that. Marek Schintz up next then for Luke. Unfortunately for Luke Whitehead. I think he might stay where he is there. But you've got to be careful because there's Walshingham coming up behind in that McLaren that's been very quick this afternoon. He's got past Leontburn. He's probably fought with Appleman earlier on. So he's got past Marquardt as well that we've missed. So he's already passed 2 cars, Jay. So that McLaren's definitely quick. So I think we might see a move for him with Marek Schintz up next. So maybe we should mosey on back to P15 and see if we see some action with Aidan Walshingham currently trying to get past Marek Schintz in the number 64. will go on board with Marek.
Shins went wide, which compromised him on exit. That allowed Walsingham to get a lot closer. He's got the run now. He's got the slipstream. He's going to have the inside line. As long as he can force Shintz out wide far enough to deny him the inside for the next left-hander, which is exactly what Shintz is trying to do. He's trying to hang it round that outside. He'll drift out to the right now. Beautiful racing. Gives him just enough space. Great respect between the two. He thinks about sniffing down the outside of the double right-hander, but you're just going to drift out wide if you do that. And you're right, Walsingham marching on. And he had top 10 pace in practice. I don't know if he got caught up or just got a bad quality of that. He's definitely making the most of it now. It's him up into 15th place.
I think Marek Shintz has got a bit of front-end damage on that Mercedes, sorry. So that might be affecting his turn-in slightly. We'll have to see, but yeah, definitely a few grazes. It looks only superficial, but you can never really tell on ACC. He's definitely lost a tenth or so. He's not as pokey as he has been this season. Down in 16th place. He's normally been a top 10 contender this season, which was good to see for Marek Shintz, but not any further today. So Walsingham off and away. He's got Luke Whitehead up next, so that's going to be a tough old customer. Mark Thark going for a move up the side there of Leon Burnt. You saw in the background whether he got that done. I don't think he did. You have to wait a little bit further.
You saw how scared he was of that inside curb. He just almost locked up the brakes, or full on the brakes, to try and make sure he stopped, because he realised he was going to clatter that sausage. But yeah, I mean, Shintz is a couple of places up from where he started, but he obviously, we saw the contact with Luke Whitehead earlier on, and we didn't see the contact, but there was some with BMW Nils. So yeah, I think you're right. He's been a little in the wars, but he's still a little bit up from where he's qualified and doing a good job trying to hold on in that Mercedes. We've got a penalty for Gert Fischer, which I've got a feeling is probably the incident we saw on lap 1. It's a 5-second penalty for him. And we've got one more that's joined the early pits club in terms of Van der Velde is also in now and is still bringing up the rear of the field. Not the day he wanted.
No. Well, I'm watching at the moment Jura Petrchenko, because he's getting quite close to Isaac Price at this stage, and was just going to have a little mosey on down to the steward's office so I can find out what those penalties were for. So 5-second time penalty for car number 34, which is, let me just get that for you, that'll be Cody Sherritt. So 0 license points for him. Penalty given for the drive and making contact after. Oh, sorry, for the dive and making contact after. Okay, well there you go. We've got a warning for late reactions for car 64 at the very beginning, so I'm not too sure what happened with there. So penalty given for contact made between cars 78, 89, 203 and 424. The penalty was given to car number 78, and that was Gert Fischer. So there's your penalties. There was a couple others there. Arthur Pattett suffered most from their own actions, so I think that was probably what happened earlier on. The Appleman made a mistake and lost out most of all as well at the beginning. All lap 1 incidents, all been sorted out by the stewarding team that are live this afternoon, Jay. So lots of action going on all throughout the grid. On board at the moment then, Jura Petrchenko for Whipperman. He's currently in 6th place, doing very well this season, is Jura Petrchenko, isn't he? In the lovely black and white liveried McLaren. Brings back old feels of days gone past, Jay.
Yeah, lovely livery, and yeah, he's comfortably inside the top 10 in the championship at the moment, and with a few people struggling, this will be a good opportunity to get some points back. Be interesting to see how the McLaren stacks up against that M4. Isaac Price obviously been running very nicely in the top 5 all the way through, but it's Jura that's coming back at him the last few laps. And yeah, you have to be careful, because Arthur Kramer is pretty much matching them behind as well. So we'll have to see as they go through the right-hander up onto the banking, see what kind of gains, if any, that McLaren can make into Isaac Price in the BMW.
Hate to interrupt you, Jay. We do have Aidan Walsingham on the back of Luke Whitehead. Now, this is not the first time we've seen these two go toe-to-toe. However, it's the first time this season on this track. Luke Whitehead loses the rear of the car as he goes onto the banking. Walsingham right up the rear end. He's in the chuff right now. Goes for the inside. No thank you, says Luke Whitehead. He's going to have to settle for the outside going into turn 1. Nice big long wide line. He's going to whip it in, but I think it's too far for Walsingham to get past. Luke Whitehead holds on to 14th place. Struggling is the McLaren. Marek Schintz just behind Walsingham. He was his last scalp. BMW Nils managed to get past Luke Whitehead, as you managed to see earlier on, but that did have to take a couple of laps, Jay. So, yeah, Walsingham has got to play it clever here. He knows it's going to happen. He's just got to bide his time until it does.
Yeah, it was really late on the brakes from Luke into turn 1, to the point that I thought he'd missed the corner. I think Aiden had as well, because he sort of just backed out of it, expecting to be able to cut back underneath him. That Honda looks a bit ragged. We've seen it a few times now, and as you say, that little twitch going off the banking down the main straight is what opened up the opportunity for Aiden. And considering, and there he is again, losing the rear end. He's just trying to wring the neck a bit to make sure he's not as vulnerable as he was last time around onto the main straight, but he's definitely gonna be.
It's this little patch. Oh, it's not this one. Sorry, you always get lulled into a full sense of security in that little right-hand whip round in turn 11. But it's here as you come onto the banking through 14. He always clips a bit of the grass, or just enters that banking at a bit of a different angle, and it unsettles the rear of the car. He managed to get a better line through there that time, but if you noticed, he went past that grass patch last time around. He clipped it. So yeah, unfortunately for him, it cost him a little bit of pace down the back straight. But Walsingham then jumps inside of the slipstream. Oh, Luke Whitehead leaves the inside unprotected. Walsingham goes deep. Sorry, Whitehead does. Walsingham tries to penalise him for doing so, but no way past. A movable object of Luke Whitehead marches on for another lap, Jay. They almost touched there, but it's getting darker and darker by the second. Rain, none of it. Haven't seen any all season, Jay.
No, none of it so far. BMW Nils got himself up past Mayer just ahead of that battle. You would have been able to see that just ahead on the screen. So the march that M6 continues. Yeah, you're right. Aiden Walsingham really tried to make sure he had no room to get back on the track. We've all done that when you see a car going wide. You're like, if I can just put my car there, then it's his fault if he tries to re-enter the track. But couldn't quite get there in time. Luke Whitehead back on, but I think it's only a matter of time, really, isn't it? The way that Honda's. And Walsingham just got to be cautious here. Yeah, I don't know if I want rain or not in any races this season, the way the dry races have been. But I think we could do some at some point to spice it up. But,
it won't
I'd
hurt,
say
will
we
it?
get
A little spitter here and there.
No, exactly. Luke Whitehead's gone massive. Oh,
he's in the pit. He's gone really wide into the pit.
I had the timetable up, all right. I didn't realise we're on the track. I was going to say, we're starting to see those first pit stops now as we get towards half distance in this race. So that's obviously Luke Whitehead in there. Mayer and Merles are in as well. Merles from the top 10, so that's one to keep an eye on. That's the first car from the top 10 I think we've seen in. And joining the three that we'd already mentioned earlier, we've had Mark Vart, Fender, Addison and Valentine Barrier have chosen to pull the trigger as well.
Is this DLC PC only by any chance, Jay?
I think it gets released later on consoles.
But currently is what I'm saying.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I think
Okay.
it might only be PC at the moment. I know all the updates and everything get pushed to consoles a bit later.
That might be why.
On
Chat
that
asking, you see.
from Daniel. Yeah, I think that would be the case. This is a PC league, and I think, yeah, the consoles... Well, the game was released a lot later, and the updates do as well. So I'm sure it's coming, but not just yet, it would seem. So that's the one to keep an eye on then, I guess, the early stop. We like to do this, or I like to do this. I don't know if anyone else likes it. But obviously see how they stack up those that have stopped early to see if it works out. So Hugo Merles is the benchmark to look at. Can we remember who was battling in the top 10?
Who was?
I think it was
Merles?
the back end, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it's between Camera and Hettich, as Isaac Price now pits from the top 10, and Schur as well then. So we're starting to see lots of pit stops as those want to do it pretty much down the middle. It's probably the safest bet, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Risk fuel.
They have gone a
the
bit late
tyres
though,
are
haven't they? Really? Or is it? No, it's ticking down. Sorry, they've gone a slightly early.
Correct. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. If those Ferraris have managed to fill that car and, you know, go long and have that pace, it's ridiculous if that is the case. We'll find out. Big old pit stop that time around, Jay. I don't know if you actually said that last time around. Price, Scher, Walsingham, Liam Burnt, Gorka, Dimitrov all in the pit. So we'll see what happens with the likes, I think, of Luke Whitehead, seeing as his competitor a couple of laps ago has only just come into the pit. So let's see if Luke Whitehead managed to get past the person who struggled so dearly to get past him. So I'll stay on board with Luke Whitehead because he's coming into that sector now. I think he's going through turn 11-ish area. So we'll see what the score is on the door when he comes down towards turn 12. We'll see what happens if Walsingham actually made time on his previous scalp in that pit stop phase. It did look like Luke Whitehead took a while to get to his pit stop, but we'll have to see if that actually had any effect on his performance. So we're with Luke Whitehead at the moment. We'll see where he comes out with the likes of Walsingham. Walsingham is still in his pit box though, Jay.
He's on pit exit. He's just released the limiter. I don't know where Whitehead is.
Coming past him.
To tell us.
Literally.
He's look on the outside, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, but it's a nice
short run.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he's got him. Walsingham, that is. Held on. But he might have tyre advantage for Luke Whitehead, briefly. Hopefully it's sorted out the rear end of that Honda here. You never know, it could have compounded the issue. I'm not too sure, I'm not on board the car. Tinker van der Velde gets a 15-second time penalty. We'll catch up on that later, Jay. But he's managed to hold on to it then, Walsingham. Good job. Pit well done.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. Just suggests that he maybe has a bit more pace anyway. The fact that Luke Whitehead wasn't able to undercut him there. But as you say, he's got the hot tyres and maybe can see if he can hold on to him for a few laps. Petchenko's in from third place then. George Boothby is in from the lead. And Dara is off the track.
Oh, wow.
Outside of the road from the guy running in fourth place. Don't know what's happened.
We'll hop
Looks
on board.
Technical to me because there's no damage on the car. That's a disaster for him, considering how well he was running here.
Let's see. We're on board with him now. We've gone back in time. We've used the TARDIS. Yeah, no, just pulled off. Had to brake mid-corner. Looked like there was a little bit of a wiggle going on before that happened. But that's got telltale signs of a hardware issue for Dara McCormack.
So that does suggest to me hardware, yeah. The fact his car is moving again.
He's back up and running now. So
Seems
yeah.
like he had to reset something.
He's wiggling. Yeah. He had a wheel issue, didn't he? He might still have that issue, Jay. Looks like he's wiggling to try and get the feeling back into that wheel. He's trying to work out what's going on. So yeah, either it was a synchronization issue. He's in the pit. He's going to sort it out, Jay. He's coming in.
Go on board with the wheel view. He's absolutely soaring at it.
Is he actually? Let's have a look.
So,
Yeah, he is.
I wonder if there's no force feedback. It might be my guess.
He's pulled over. He hasn't even got to the pit, and now he's put himself into the pit stop. That might be terminal, you know, guys. Dara McCormack currently one up for the championship with a massive issue in relation to hardware. We'll keep an eye on what happens with Dave, but that looks somewhat terminal, Jay. I'm not sure if he's going to get that car going again. I hope he does, but let's see. Grantis Caracas being released from his pit stop. He is going to be the highest up boy, apart from George Boothby. Where's Boothby? Ah, he's just overtaken him. There you go. Boothby then is going to retake that provisional lead, at least where it all sorts itself out. But yeah, that's the big shout of the situation today. We have an issue for Dave in the Williams Esports Chill Blast car. See if we can get any news from that. Chat, do you know what's going on? Probably. He also has a big wheel offset. Yeah, I think so too. So maybe it was a dreaded click, Jay, as you will. Maybe there was a recalibration or something. And he's left. He's gone. That is it. That is it. All she wrote for Dara. Well, we'll keep an eye on the Discord afterwards to see if we can get some words on what's happening there. But that is a real shame. Not the first time we've seen it happen for a championship contender. BMW Neil's in the pit, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, it's disastrous for him. If obviously was running nicely in the top 10 in the championship, and he was running in the top 5 there, and it's the sim racer's equivalent to a mechanical failure. That's what you just have to say to yourself. Sometimes in real races, on those days, your engine goes or something breaks, you get a puncture. That's the sim racing equivalent, I'm afraid. And as well tested and as expensive as this gear is, it can happen. And yeah, it won't help him right now, but you just have to grin and bear it and come back another day, unfortunately. So Hardier's in the pits from first place, was net second before, so we'll see if he's got any closer. I think the gap's around 3 or 4 seconds to George Boopy. I'd expect it to be a little bit more this time from those dominant Yassit boys. And yeah, George Boopy's already through turn 1 and 2 then. And
do cover for
I
time,
think
Jay.
if we've
I'm
had
trying to
a
find out the issue.
this season.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Who are we on board with, George Boothby?
We are on board with George Boothby, yes.
Well, let's talk about a little bit about, well, he's obviously dominating massively, but what this could mean for the championships. George Boothby currently is in second place, 41 points behind Tinko van der Velde after missing the last race, George Boothby. Van der Velde currently still propping up the field at the rear, so we're going to see a massive swing in this championship here. And after being so horribly uncompetitive, the Ferraris at Paul Ricard, they found their form here around Indianapolis. If you're doing any online lobbies around Indy in the next few days, I'd pick a Ferrari if I were you. Seems very strong, and they're dominating nicely. What has happened through that pit stop stage, though? I think I've got this the right way. No, I haven't. It was always Karakas in third, wasn't it? And Petrchenko was fourth. I thought they'd swapped for a second, but they haven't. So it's McLaren's in net third and fourth at the moment. And then it's the BMWs of Isaac Price and Arthur Camara are in 7th and 8th. Everyone apart from Shintz and Rack have now made their mandatory pit stop. So, Scher with the Audi currently running in 11th place, who I think is net 9th, has a 30-second penalty. Is there anything in the Discord that we can look up to see what that was for? Because that's a pretty severe one, Rage.
Yes, sorry, I'm trying to find out what's going on with Dara. Can't get a line on that, unfortunately. I'll keep digging. So there has been some penalties, I think. Major collision, including multiple cars. So that's 30-second time penalty for car 23, so I'll leave that for you to explain. I'm not too sure who that involving, but yeah, incidents, unfortunately. Excuse the sound.
By a sure, and
yes.
I think it might have been, what have we seen with those Audis? We saw the big incidents when it was a was it BMW that went off? It was someone that went off at turn 1 and then rejoined, and then there was some bumping of wheels quite a lot, and quite a few cars caught up. I'm wondering if it was that. Could well be. So I'm just trying to see where we got battles on field then. So there's a good battle developing for 6th and 7th, and then likewise for 8th and 9th. So it's been between Petrchenko and Price, and Cameron Merles. I don't know which one you want to go on board with, Rage.
Let's have a look. I'll go on board with Merles for you. I am actually currently spying, so excuse me for being absent at the moment. I'm spying on the actual Williams eSports stream, which you can actually find on Williams eSports Twitch. It was live, but it's now not live. Trying to find out what the issue was. I don't want to put sound on because obviously it'll come through the stream, but I'm trying to read his chat to find out what it is. But unfortunately, he literally went straight on and that's it. So obviously what we saw on the stream was exactly what happened. Yeah, not too sure. Quick release maybe? Question mark, he says. Not too sure. But yeah, that was, yeah, seems very odd, and I can see him, like you say, soaring on the wheel. We're not still trying to find out what's going on. Hopefully I can find out from chat if there was an issue. Anyway, we're on board with Hugo Merles, as you requested. Anything going on track, Jay?
Yeah, so we got these 4 sort of closing up then. So this was 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. Jura Petrchenko at the front of this field at the moment, being closed up on by Isaac Price. Hugo Merles has not had he's 14th in the championship. Best result was 7th in Spa so far, but a couple of bad races. This is definitely a return to form. He's in the right car this time.
I would like to confirm, Jay,
we can...
it was a failure. So it's actually a failure of hardware. So it looks like possibly the quick release has actually broken on his wheel by that brand beginning with F. I'm not going to say it because obviously it could be accused of slander, but he quickly said, or quickly showed that there was actually a failure of the hardware. So yeah, that was a pretty nasty one by the looks of things. That's going to be...
You don't have to protect the sponsor, it's Fanatec. Like, Fanatec wheels have failed in the past. Don't say anything about them.
I don't know if it was, Jack. I can't confirm or deny if it was a failure. I'm just assuming. Look, I'm summarising here, Jay.
If you think us talking about the fact that Fanatec wheels had a problem,
yes,
that we're anywhere near as important for that to matter,
well,
then
there we go.
I'm afraid it's not. We can say it, Rage.
So the wheel shut off, and maybe the soaring was because he was trying to get the, like you say, the force feedback. Anyway, it was a failure of some kind. Fanatec.
So if I can still be here after making a comment about the Russian Minister of Defence 3 weeks ago,
he did go unnoticed, Jay. Let's quickly gloss over that incident. We did go undetected until then, so never mind. George Boothby still somewhat leading.
Move before then. We definitely got away with that.
Oh, gee. Someone saying in the chat, it's Mel saying, time to buy the new Logitech. What do you think of that? That price it came out with, absolutely astounding. I can't believe that was what they decided to do, considering what Fanatec have just done with their CSL DD series. Let's proper go into using into those brands. Why don't we? Wasn't it priced up about £1,000 or something stupid?
Yeah, but it's massively more power. It's much more competitive with the podium in terms of the strength.
Okay.
The DD is not a direct comparison for it. They've decided to go in straight at the top end.
Oh, okay.
It's sort of similar to SIMSOK. I nearly swore there. We can't do that on the stream.
No, please don't. Zabzy.
It's really big.
It's really large. Okay, that's fine.
Like it's an M6 level direct drive.
Okay. Zabzy's saying, can someone go on board with Marek to see if he's doing a map 2 and 0-second pit stop meme? No, I'm not doing that, unfortunately. His strategy will be up to him and only to decide. Otherwise,
we can't see his.
You can sometimes if you're inside the car. Like if you're literally inside the car, you might be able to quickly glance at the dash. Anyway,
they bank the dashes out.
Oh, do they? Okay,
we stop people doing that.
Good, good. Well, we can't then, and I wouldn't do it anyway, Zabzy. Sorry, unfortunately. Isn't it 5mm already more than enough or something? Logitech offers 11. Oh, sorry, 5 Newton meters. Sorry, Fanatec offers 11. But doesn't like some of the other DD wheels offer more than 11?
Oh yeah, some of the semi-cubes and stuff go up to like 25.
Yeah.
No, but I don't think any reasonable person uses it above 15, 17.
Yeah.
They are back. The 11's fine.
Got rid of them, don't worry.
I've not tried a DD, so I don't know. If I tried them side by side, probably the more strength would be great, but I'd probably end up turning it down after a while anyway.
Yeah.
But, so the final of those running in the top 20 is in the pits. Marek Schintz. We'll see if that's done him any good. He was running around about where Nils is, isn't he, in P14, who's on the back of Mayo at the moment. With Wolskin 3 seconds further back. He's pulled nearly 2 seconds on Luke Whitehead in 16th. So we'll see where Schintz slots back in. He probably would have been hoping those guys fight a bit, but he will have much quicker tyres, fresh tyres, to attack on a bit of a lower fuel load, even if he comes back out ahead of them, behind them. Oh, we got half. We'd normally be wrapping up right now.
We've got half an hour to go.
You ever did the endurance races?
I know, right? I know. Oh no, this is a walk in the park in comparison to a 12-hour. Yeah, never did a 24 though, so that was always on the cards, but never actually got there. Marek Schintz then, the last. Oh, he's not the last one to pit. Mrak he's not quite in yet. Gasper still got a pit to go, so he's obviously going long. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Hugo Merles. He gets quite close to camera. He's got a big M4 to get past. He's part of the. Oh, he is part of the Jordan Lacey Esports Academy. So yeah, nice team. That it's good to see. I love it that there's Jean Lacey. It just makes me laugh every time. Anyway, Jean, welcome to AOR. I'm sure he's not watching anyway, but welcome. It's good to see that the esports team's doing well, and we're representing again. They never run 2 cars though. It's only 1, Jay. Well, I don't know what's up with that. Maybe it's that they only get 1 in the series. I'm not too sure, or at least in the tier. Hugo Merles doing well with Jean Lacey. There we go.
5 minutes. 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 Yeah, it's great to see the name back there. I love an image of John Lacey sat.
Oh, just please. Just the.
I mean, like a lot.
I want John Lacey on the door. That's all I want. Just his face. Do you reckon that
if that was my team, well, it wouldn't be my team. It'd be John Lacey's team. But putting John Lacey's face on the car is definitely a life goal. I would imagine similar to like quite a few of these drivers, like Montoya and Barrichello. It's probably his son's thing because he's got a young son in like Formula 4, isn't he, or something? And they all seem to get into sim racing over the lockdown because their sons were like, it was a father-son thing to do. Right?
Yeah, makes sense.
So that's what we were looking at, and Shins has come back out in P19. So he's about 1.5 seconds off the battle, or the Whitehead train that is developing, by the way. So Luke Whitehead, Aidan Walsingham has gapped him since that pit stop. Luke Whitehead has now got Leon Burnt also in the Honda, all over the back of him into turn 1. That's followed by Lucas Marquardt in the Iron Lynx team. In the Ferrari in P17, it's Joris Apple, Ren Welton Esports, and then Marek Schintz has just caught the back of this pack after his pit stops with much fresher tyres. So I think that could be a pretty spicy battle to deal with. The other one to keep an eye on is Nils on the back of Mayer for 12th and 13th. That gap is down to a couple of tenths of a second now.
Yeah, we're on board with the train that you were talking about before, so we'll stay with them. But yeah, we were talking about who's come out behind. Who was the last to pit?
Shins of the sort of top runners. Mrak is still running in third.
It was Shins. Yeah, I thought it was Shins. He's going to be ridiculously fast if he has only just pitted, considering how quick that Mercedes normally is. So that should be quite a fun little battle to watch, considering he was running around Luke Whitehead roughly before the pit. So he's actually not done too bad out of that, really, considering. If he's got the much faster car.
He's right on the back of the pack again, and as you said, should have the advantage now. But when it's Luke Whitehead that's backing this pack up, that nullifies some of the advantage.
Yes, I guess so.
But yeah, we'll see. Nils has actually got alongside into turn 1 Mayer. He's going to brave it around the outside. He's just shown the door using that M6 power. I think this has been going for a couple of laps, this battle. Still not quite able to do it, though.
Oh, it's been a big accident. Big accident with Marek Schintz. I'm not too sure who that was involving. It was a Ferrari. I think it might have been Marquardt. Let's have a little look back. We'll go back in time, Jay. We're jumping aboard the TARDIS as we see what happened. That must have been from an absolute mile back. Maybe it was involving Apple before. We'll go on board with these guys. We'll see it from there. Let's see what happened. So it looks like Apple maybe going for a lunge up the inside into turn 1. No. No, he just clips the back of Marquardt, and then unfortunately Marek Schintz just met him there into the apex of turn 1 and actually does them both in that incident, and he wasn't even to blame for it, so that's good for him. And he's going off to see if he can attack Leon Burnt a little bit further up, who is also having fun with Luke Whitehead, who's suffering somewhat today, Jay.
He is, but he's defending as if his life depended on it. So, as we said, he's the front runners of the Hondas, and if he could hold on to 15th, it wouldn't be a bad result out of it, considering how much they seem to have been struggling around here, especially with traction. But yeah, we'll see if Shintz can march on towards them now. That's just what the doctor ordered when you've just come out your pit stop. The first 2 cars just out your way without anything, without you needing to do anything.
Didn't have to do anything. An apple a day keeps the Marquardt away, and Marek Schintz benefits from it, mate.
He does indeed.
Didn't even laugh at the meme, but hey, we'll continue. Leon
Sorry,
Burnt.
I'm looking through the film. It's one of those moments where I'm not even listening to you.
It's fine. Leon Burnt tries for a move on Luke Whitehead. Does the old outside-inside job. He doesn't work for him. He's going to have to settle for 16th place for another lap as he tries to get past. No luck there, unfortunately, for the 424 driver. Ranwelton Esports doing well this afternoon, actually, considering he's the second highest runner in a Honda. Where's the other Honda? That must be right down there. Obviously, we had Tinker van der Velde in the Honda, who's not doing too well this afternoon. He's got Addison in a Strosa all the way back there. That is it. Tinker van der Velde is actually right down there with the other Honda. The Hondas are really rubbish round here, it seems. Maybe they knew that before, and they knew it was going to be a tough one. So all things considered, it's actually job well done for Luke Whitehead this afternoon, really, considering. Damage limitation, Jay. How's
This is what I'm
Statistics
saying,
Corner treating you? Oh, he's back.
Not statistical. I was just looking through the grid to see where the battles were. Yeah, I mean, especially from Angel's point of view, I think from what we've seen, it wasn't really his fault. Van der Velde, we didn't see the incident, but we don't know. It was definitely incidents that caught them up and put them back there. But yeah, exactly. Luke Whitehead's doing the best job he can with that car, and if that car returns to domination later in the season, that's the best thing for them, right?
Yes.
To be the front of those Hondas. So they always say that it depends how you are in a bad car, right? That's not what they say. It's something along those lines.
That's not what they say, Jay. No, but well done. I think we knew what you meant.
Yeah, but what I mean is he's proving his worth by being the front Honda when the car is particularly bad. Although Leon Burnt is keeping him very honest just behind.
He's giving me George Russell William vibes right now. George Russell Williams vibes. But Alex Albon's giving me George Russell Williams vibes this season. Off to Formula 1 again, Jay. He's doing very well in that Williams. Showing up old Nicky Latifi for what it's worth. Nothing relevant to what we're talking about right now, but it's also a nice little...
He was beaten this weekend.
Who did?
By the GOAT.
Oh, was he?
I mean, Albon retired.
Oh, there you go.
Point.
That's one in the box for Latifi. Tick.
Oh, we want to see Latifi in sim racing, I reckon.
Oh, can you imagine?
Right.
Latifi as part of this grid. It'd be fantastic.
I seem to remember he took part in one of the F1 esports events and
did
caused
he?
absolute nightmares. He was one of those that just sort of jumped in thinking you didn't need to be any good.
Oh, no. Oh, never mind. There's been an incident, by the way.
Has there? Good.
Yes.
Right.
It's not nothing bad, really. Leon Burnt has he suffered... I don't know where, but he's dropped off the pace, and now he's being attacked by Marek Schintz and Lucas Marquardt, but not being ravaged by the bears in the background that they are always being, those cars with the Hondas. I feel that's what they're like, small squirrels, and everything else around them is like a predatory forest-going animal, but they're struggling along, are the Hondas. They're just about making it through. Can you tell that we're running out of innuendos?
Dive into
He
turn one.
does.
I don't know if you're still on board with him.
I'm watching it, Jay.
He dives down the inside of Leon Burnt, makes a little bit of contact.
There's
a
flashing.
flash of the lights from Leon, who wasn't too happy with that move. I mean, it was side door on side door, so it wasn't too bad.
Oh, only be a side door on side door, mate. It's all fine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I like to say. As long as there's only a bit of side door on side door, everything's fine. Yeah, in every aspect of
I
life.
think it all needs context, you know. If it's happening at 150 miles an hour and the other car, other side door goes into a barrier, then...
Oh, it's only a bit of side door on side door.
I think it was all right. Everyone does seem to have settled.
It has.
Indeed, you know, it's we don't know what to do with ourselves. We've had so much action in this season that, yeah, it just seems pedestrian in comparison. But it's a massive one for the championship, I can tell you that. It's going to be, if he can hold on to it, I believe, a first podium of the season for Hardier in that Ferrari.
If you can hold on to it.
And Grant Cracker's best of the rest in that McLaren, keeping himself right up there in the championship. And then the big losers are going to be Luke Whitehead, Van der Velde. Strozer's not.
Got a move, Jay. Sorry to interrupt you. For 12th place, a little bit of side door on side door. Looks like it's all fine for BMW Nils. It doesn't get past Meyer, though, the international skier extraordinaire. Unfortunately, he's going to have to settle for another lap behind. BMW Nils, though, is on fire today in that number 7. Very good. Carry on, Jay.
He's hit an immovable wall roadblock that is Meyer. Let's stay on board with a full lap for this, because we've jumped on it a couple of times into turn 1. So it doesn't take a degree in rocket science to work out where this M6 is strong. We know the reason why he's taking it. So it's going to be setting it all up for that main straight. And considering he's getting alongside each time, suggests he just needs to find a way to get a better run off that final corner, and he'll be alongside and past. So he's able to stay pretty close through the S's, through the left-hand side. The Audi looking very stable, though. As we're out onto the long right-hander for where it used to go onto the banking in the old F1 track. But now they've got this little chicane in. He thinks about down the inside. Considering you're thinking about trying to get the best run onto the main straight, that's not potentially the wisest move there. So he'll try to cut back a little bit earlier. And now let's see what the power of this M6 is like. He's quite a way behind here. He's had a pretty scruffy end to the lap. But I would imagine he'll be right on his gearbox by the time he gets to turn 1 nevertheless.
I think he'll go for it, but whether it happens, it's a strange strategy. Let's see if it works out for him. Scher's got himself a 30-second time penalty. We have to see what that's all about.
He does. We've already been there, done that, Rage.
Are you sure? I thought we were talking about Fishers, mate. Oh, I don't know. It'll roll into one at this stage, Jay.
It's all good. So our brains stop working after 60 minutes. That's all they're programmed to do at the moment.
Literally, we turn up for 60 minutes and the rest we start talking about door-on-door action.
We do, but we were talking about doors. Right, so Nils needs to not have that nibble into the onto the first bit of the banking that he did last time around. That really... But I wonder if it's the frustration of being behind for so long, which he has been. That made him try at a different place. So shows him he's there, looks to the inside, but there was always only going to be intimidation. He wasn't actually going to go for it. He's trying every trick in the books and stay close through the S's. And then it's because he has such great straight line speed. I mean, because this is a flat out right-hander, it's actually a longer straight than you think, which is why he's getting so close off the banking. But just stay close this time. He's really late on the brakes again, though, because he wants to be as close as possible to get that run out. He goes a little early onto the turn-in to try and cut back. It's definitely a lot closer this time around, Rage, as he gets into that slipstream.
We're watching from behind Maya right now, literally from the rear bumper. We're watching BMW Nils close that gap. Is it going to be enough, Jay? Goes defensive. We'll jump outside.
He forces the inside. Schumacher and Barrichello vibes.
Crikey.
From Barcelona all those years ago. Didn't happen, though. I think this is his frustration. He's just not... Oh, that's late. That's...
A little bit messy there, wasn't it, from BMW Nils? Not normally what we see from BMW Nils, unfortunately. Let's watch that again. Yeah, just a little tap there, trying to go up the inside. But arguably, the Audi didn't give him much room from Manuel Meyer. You know, I think that was...
I wouldn't say it was a bit messy. I'd say that was a bit more of an assassination. But I think it's, as we've been talking about, it's the frustration of not being... Because it's been a good 7 or 8 laps he's been stuck behind him.
Never mind.
Well, I think stewards are going to have a little look at that.
I think they're going to review that one, you know. Let's go back down with Leon Byrne. Oh my goodness gracious, there's a big old battle going on back here for 16th place. And as we join, there's a spinner, and that is Leon Byrne, unfortunately getting caught up there in an incident. Let's see what happens again there. We'll go on board with him. Looks like he tagged the back of the Audi. Actually gets tagged himself by Lucas Marquardt. Luckily managed to save his front nose there from getting wiped out by Manuel Meyer. But yeah, Leon Byrne, unfortunately, going back a couple of positions, gets passed by Meyer, Marquardt, Apple and Fender in that, Jay.
Yeah, it's such a shame. He'd been staying so close with Luke Whitehead, trying to find a way through, and all that work undone. He drops quite a way off the back of this pack then. Shintz got past Whitehead. Has that just happened, or?
Oh, we've missed that. No, we've missed that miles ago. Yeah, sorry, unfortunately, guys. Yeah, we must have missed that a little while ago. Anyway, never mind. Yeah, Whitehead, unfortunately, looks like he's been displaced by the number 25. I am actually on board with the Appleman as he fights for the couple of positions up ahead. Marquardt versus Meyer going very close in this middle sector, Jay. It has been a race of the mid-pack, this one, hasn't it?
Yeah, which is... It's been nice, right?
Yes,
to
change.
get some action on the midfield, because I feel like, well, it's almost a certainty that all this action is going on all the way through. We just have not had the time or the sets of eyes to focus on it with the craziness we've seen in the opening 3 races. But yeah, it's great to see these fights that do go on all the way throughout the race for some pretty substantial points still. So
yeah, good
fighting
points.
Hard in the top tier of very big multi-tier championship. These guys are the best of the best, even if they're fighting over 15th, 16th and 17th. still about 100 places higher than I would be in the grand scheme of things.
What's interesting enough about this mid-pack, though, listen to this. So, Mercedes, Honda, Audi, Ferrari, McLaren, BMW, all fighting within like a second of each other. So, definitely multi-manufacturer, and also very close, which is, you know, fantastic to see, especially around a track like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do have 2 Ferraris walking away with the races, though the rest it's not so. But this is what GT racing is all about. This is what it's supposed to be in GT3, right? This is why the bop exists. You have all those cars with all their different traits. They all feel completely different. They all get on the power differently. They turn in. They have different strengths and weaknesses, and they are all still a few tenths from each other. An hour and 10 minutes into a race.
Lovely bit of door-on-door action from these boys. Never hurt anyone. And still very, very close. Where is Luke Whitehead? 14th place. So it hasn't been displaced by Meyer, Marquardt and Apple just yet. I thought he would hold on to Shintz, but obviously Shintz, no, he came in because he's got a very fast car, hasn't he? Because he did the late pit stop change. Do you reckon he will come under threat from these guys behind? They are fighting, obviously. But if they sort out that position, do you think Luke Whitehead is a possibility going to drop outside the top 15 here?
He's got an extra place in his favour. Scher's got a 30-second. Actually, no, he's still well within 30 seconds of Scher. So he's technically 13th at the moment. Yeah, possibly. I mean, we know how well he's defended. Scher, obviously. Shintz, as you said, have got that tyre advantage. That helped him out. I still wouldn't bet against Luke Whitehead being able to hold on against these two. But yeah, he's just struggled everywhere in that Honda. It seemed to be in traction and just those twitches in the mid-speed corners where it's just not working around here. So if he can avoid those mistakes, he can hold on to it. But we've seen far too many of them, or far more than we used to from him today. So potentially see a few more. But we'll see.
On board with Marquardt at the moment, mate. Sorry, you were going to say?
No, just as we've said, you know, it's 13th, 14th, 15th, still a great result to be the top Honda today. Take any number of those points, I would have thought.
I was going to go through some of those guys that unfortunately aren't with us anymore, Jay. No, real life, but just in this race. Yonkers.
Somber.
I know.
We should do like an Oscars memorandum.
Yeah, we will, yeah. We'll go through those names that unfortunately didn't make it to the end. Marco Yonkers, I think, was one of the first casualties of the day. We've got Black Goldsaw, I think, who was finally thrown in the towel. Felix Arndt has just made his way into the pits. I'm not too sure what's happened with him, but I think he's also going to call it a day. And then Dara McCormack, one of the front runners, unfortunately, he's going to call it a day. He called it a day a while ago, and he's not going to take any further part. So that's going to have huge repercussions for the championship. Let's mosey on up, Jay, a little bit. We might go back to Marquardt because it is getting quite close, but we do have BMW versus BMW coming up with Camera and Price, and that is for 5th place. It's the highest place we've seen fighting, but we'll come back to that because it is getting very close with these boys again. We can't get away from it. We can't keep away from it, Jay. It's so flipping close. It is Meyer, Marquardt and Apple all very, very close to each other. We just about see what the gap is between Camera. I think he might have had a go because that come down and it's now widened out a little bit. Exactly the same with Marquardt and Meyer. So I think they are trying to vie for positions here. It's just happening as and when, and we just seem to be missing it. But we'll keep an eye on that gap between Camera and Price.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the one that's more likely to see some action. At the moment, Camera's been around 6 tenths behind for a number of laps. Well, that's just dropped to 4, so maybe do keep an eye on it, as you say. Yeah, I mean, Whitehead's keeping the gap around a second just in front, so he's doing enough at the moment, and it's Marquardt that needs to try and find a way past Meyer. It's where he can really do it. There's no obvious differences between the cars. Obviously, the Ferrari's very strong around here, as we know. But it's just at that point of the race where you're hot, you're sweaty, you're tired. You just want to try and not make a mistake when you're running fairly well. Apple's got a 5-second penalty at the back of this group, so
he has.
I don't know. It's difficult. But what you do in that mindset is whether you go a bit more aggressive because you know you've got to get past them and get 5 seconds down the road, or you just accept that, okay, well, I'm going to lose 5 seconds anyway, let's not lose any more.
No, You're right. This we're going on up to the 50 and the 36 car, battling for 5th place. The BMW looks mighty solid round here. Really, really strong. Doesn't look loose like we saw with the Honda of Luke Whitehead. Just looks dependable. Nice and easy to lean, and gets good drive through the corners. So yeah, I think the BMW's a good shout this afternoon. It's doing very well in the hands of the BS competition driver that we're on board with right now. Price, though, we've not seen him so high up this far before this season, have we? I think may have been good in France. Can't quite remember, to be quite honest, but he hasn't been this high up for a little while. It's in 5th place. Camera might be getting close as we run close towards the back straight, passing the entrance to the old banking entrance. I think that is turns 10, 11-ish area. As they work their way up here. And that is Jura Petrochenko. Don't worry, that's him getting past a back marker just up ahead. This is the fight that we want to see. It's dropped back for 4/10. Unfortunately, I don't think Camera is going to be close enough at the end of this car. It's BMW versus BMW. They're both very close. Yeah, no movement yet, Jay. It's less than 3/10 between them. But let's see what happens another lap. We'll stay on board with these guys. Anything going on a little bit further back with Mark Vartmeyer and Whitehead?
No, they're all still lying stern in the same positions as they were. You know, Isaac Price had 10th place last time out, which was his best finish of the season. I feel like he's been a bit unlucky in that top 10. Hopefully the back marker doesn't get involved, or I think that's Angel and Strozer, and doesn't. Yeah, but I feel like he's been up near that top 10 almost every race, but just had a few incidents and unlucky cases. Managed to get a nice top 10 result last time out, though. So you're right, they're in the same car, so you've got to start doing something different, or hope that the other makes a mistake. You can see Cameron's trying to judge his braking based on Price and just get that little bit deeper into a corner. It's compromising him on the exits. Just trying to see if they're about the same. So Camera's a 10th quicker than Petrochenko. I feel like Petrochenko had a bit more of an advantage over these guys. I don't know if it's been closing up. But keep an eye on that gap as well.
Just over 2 seconds at the moment.
Yeah, BMWs might be coming into their own a bit later in the stint if they're looking after their tyres a bit better. But it's going to be around about 6/10 down the straight again and not really able to make an impression, especially now that Price is getting that slipstream off the Porsche of Lois Regnier in the as a back marker just ahead, so it's helping him out a little bit on that occasion. Just keeping an eye on two cars we've not really looked at. I know they're in a chat together. They're currently 1 and 2 for Yas Heat. Hardy has been chipping away. He's taken about 6/10 out of Boothby over the last few laps. He was 4/10 of a second quicker last time around. The gap, I think, is about to drop under 3 seconds this season. This lap, and it does just pop under. And I wonder if he might be starting to come back at him. It's leaving it late. Boothby's just had the edge on him all race long, but it might not be over for that battle up top, so we'll just keep an eye on it in the edge of the screen as we look at these slightly closer battles at the moment.
Looks like Mark Fart's got himself a penalty back there. I'll see if I can find out what it's about. I'll hop back to where that's happening, just so you boys can see what's going on. Oh my god, I'm getting incredibly close to Low Whitehead. You have fun with that, Jay. We're on board with Mark Vart, as we find out what's going on with these penalties. That was a big old penalty though, wasn't it? Let's see.
Yeah, he thought about a move down the outside there. Actually put Mark Vart in a bit more trouble because of how late Mayer was on the brakes. Mark Vart then tried to outbrake him, and all three of them tried to stop almost on the same bit of time. Right? But at the moment they're all sorting itself out. It's Mayer that's crawling all over the back of that Honda. He's going to go wide early. He's sent in the dummy on Luke Whitehead. If he misses the curb on the inside, which he does, he can't hold it down the inside. Luke Whitehead saw that coming though. Mayer tries to keep his nose in it, but Whitehead knew he was already clear. It's an interesting one. I don't know that you would make that decision that late on, when you've got this long straight coming, he's now put himself at risk of coming under attack from Mark Vart. Mayer shows him the outside early, wants to force him the long way round, comes back across almost in the braking zone there, and which sort of forces him to move out of it, but he was clearly ahead, so I don't think anything untoward there. And Mark Vart would have seen that penalty, which, do we know what it's for yet?
Yes, he hit the back of Leon Byrne. We actually covered that earlier. That was for what it was for.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, lots of penalties throughout the field there, Jay. There's penalties for Scher, Mark Vart, the Appleman, Fisher, Vanko Dimitrov, Sherritt, Tinker van der Velde, all with penalties this afternoon. That's a big splattering of penalty. It
is. I'm wondering if potentially, because we're going half an hour longer, we're seeing some of the results that are normally done post-race.
Yeah, I guess so.
Got a bit more work on it. Camera's up to 0.3 of a second.
Oh, it might be wise just to have a little look.
RDA is now down to 2.5 seconds. I'm trying to resist going and watching to see what they're saying, because there's a chance that as their teammates and in the Discord, they want that Yasik photo finish, right? But
do you reckon?
I feel like they're too competitive for that.
I don't think that's happening.
Just held a bit back here, and he's now starting to make some progress. Maybe looks after his tyres a little better. And 7 minutes. It's a good 5 laps or so, +1. Plenty of time to make his way back towards George Boothby and ruin that day.
Can we do some maths here, Jay? How many tenths is he?
Can we not?
Oh, God.
What was you involved? I want you to do the math, actually. I'm not helping you.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, let's see the time differences between these. So what's the 4 tenths, 5, 6, 7. So 3 tenths a lap quicker at the moment, Jardet is, and he's got 5 laps to go with 2.6 seconds. So 3, 6, 9, 12. Shut up. I don't think he's got enough to do it. We're looking at about 1.5-ish seconds by the end. I think Boothby will have it by a second if it continues to go down at this rate. Oh yeah,
that's the question.
The one extra, right? The one extra. So
that's it. It all depends when they're on the track, as to how many laps they get in and whether they do one extra.
Yeah.
On what we think.
If they do one extra, it'll be 7 tenths.
It's whether Boothby starts to react to it as well, whether he's got something in the tank still. There's a couple of other factors. There's the mental element, although someone of George Boothby's quality, I can't imagine is going to start immediately cracking. But that can lose you an extra couple of attempts when you start seeing that gap come down. And when he gets within, if he can get within the second, then obviously that gap can come down a lot faster. It's a lot closer than it's been. It's down to 2.3 now.
Oh God.
So
crucially, he is doing that 3 tenths each time, Jay. Sorry.
Yeah, so it seems like he's got something in the tank now. He has a back marker in his way from Rack. That might have cost him. That might have been what cost Boothby time, maybe. Just going to go ahead on track and see. We've got Dimitrov down the end of the main straight, so I don't think we're going to have traffic between now and the flag. And we'll see if that did cost RDA that little bit of traffic. No, he was 4 tenths quicker again last lap round. So it's got to be that he's just saved a little, right?
Possibly.
He went a couple of laps longer than Boothby the first time round. That's the other thing to bear in mind. So has he played a strategic blinder?
You never know.
3 times in a row.
Oh, I know. Angel Strohs are getting out of the way for the fight with Camera and Price that's been hotting up and then dissipating and hotting up and dissipating. It's like a kettle being boiled and then released again. Poor little kettle. Not going forward, unfortunately, for Camera.
Edging the kettle.
He's yes. Damn him. Camera's edging. I didn't want to use that phrase, but you went straight in with it. But edging the kettle is the phrase of the afternoon for Arthur Camera. Oh dear. Never mind. Mark Vart and Fender and Apple have changed around a bit, Jay. I can't get that out of my head. Mark Vart dropped a couple of places. Apple's actually really done well out of that. He's jumped all 2 of them. So he's now next up to get Meyer. So we missed a little bit of action in the the mid part of the pack as we were talking about edging kettles.
Choking on my water there.
Sorry.
Don't know where that came from. Right.
Got me right in the feels. That kettle or the race?
The race, obviously.
Okay.
What are you talking about? Just because of the kettle.
The gap still is... Oh, it was only a 10th that lap, Jay. Maybe he's turning it on. Maybe the wick's being increased.
Yeah, George Boothby is responding, and he did that time around. To be fair, I think that was a similar lap time from George than the lap before. It's Hardier that's dropped a couple of attempts from his lap before. So we're going to get, I would imagine... What was the lap time round? Was it 134?
Yeah.
I think we might get 2. Might get 3, or it's going to be 2. It's 2 or 3.
Okay.
So he really needs to start easing into it if he can. But it's not an easy task against someone like George Boothby.
Mini Simeon joins us halfway through the race. Sorry, Jay. He joins us and said, damn, I missed most of the race. It's a long one. You joined us as we were talking about kettles. Yeah, so welcome. Good to have you back in, buddy. You've almost followed us through the whole season so far, as we are on board with Camera and Price. What's the gap between the top boys up ahead then? They must be coming across the line soon. It's still 2 seconds, Jay. The distance isn't that much anymore, but it's still there. Whereabouts are they on track? I can't find them.
They're just coming onto the banking now, onto the main banking. So they're just about to finish this lap, so we will get 2 more then. So there'll be 2 more laps of this race if he wants to do anything about George Boothby. 3 tenths difference on that lap, gap down to 1.8. It's gonna have to be on pressure, I think, now.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to be Boothby making a little mistake here, a little one there, to allow Hardier to get anywhere near. It's been a valiant effort regardless, though. Considering it's taken some time to get to grips with that Ferrari compared to some other top runners in AOR, but definite return to form here around Indianapolis, and well, you're not going to be happy with second place if you get that close, but you are at the same time when the person in first is George Boothby.
Yeah. The whole time we were talking about George Boothby, by the way, we were on board with Camera and Price, just for context. We were actually...
They're much closer.
I've been with them for so long. Oh, God, maybe we'll go back. Let's have a little look. There's still 3 tenths that separates them. They are much closer, but this is the fight that people want to see, though, Jay. We are going to get one more, crucially, but this will be the final lap for these boys. The distance is 1.6 at the moment. As they come across the line, it's got to be closer, Jay. What does he do? He can't do any more than what he's doing right now. He can't push the car anymore. He has to just hope that Boothby cracks under the pressure. We haven't seen a crack under the pressure from George Boothby, though. We've never seen any cracks in his absolutely stunning March last season and this season. We saw one incident of cracking, and it wasn't his fault. It was a hardware issue, and that was all the way back in Misano. So yeah, we haven't ever seen it. 1.4 seconds, Jay. It's not going to happen. They're so close, the Yas Heat boys. But it's, you just got to pray for a mistake here from Boothby, and Hardier could be on for another win. What do you do, Jay, in this situation? You're just crying in desperation, crying in 3 tenths gained every lap.
Yeah, I mean, it's so difficult. The 2 options are you start trying something different to all of a sudden try and... Because if you can suddenly take a 10th or a 2 on a corner, they'll see that on their relative and they've got more chance of panicking. But the safer bet is just to keep doing what you're doing and hope they make a mistake. These kind of levels, they're not suddenly going to crack, so you maybe go for the former. But when they're driving at the level they are, you try and find a 10th in a corner, then you're off because you're already completely on the limit.
Yeah.
I think it is going to be all it wrote, unless Boothby made a mistake, but it's been a valiant charge. I think what he's going to do is cut the corner, I think. Almost. But no harm done. I think the top guys are doing it through there, to be honest. I just haven't noticed it before. Lay it on the brakes as he dares. Talker's over the line, but
go on. You take us across the line, Jay. Go for it, buddy.
Well, it's been a dominant performance then from the Yas Heat boys. Hardier gave it everything in the closing stages to see if he could do anything about his Yas Heat teammate. But it's going to be George Boothby that I think will also maybe regain the championship lead after missing the last round. That takes a not so dominant win in the end from Hardier in second place. Then it's going to be quite a distance to Grantas Caracas, our race winner from last time out, takes us over the line in third place. Then it's Jura Petchenko makes it a McLaren 3-4. And it's going to be Isaac Price, who, after his almost half an hour long battle with Arthur Cranmer, will take fifth place ahead of Cranmer in sixth. Then it's Hugo Merles in seventh place. Luke Addison across the... Nope, that's a lapped car, but Luke Addison is across the line to finish anyway.
Look what's going on at the back, Jay. It's Fender, Mark, Meyer and Apple. It's fine, no, it's all good. We're going to see the Apple man come across the line behind Shintz. Also Walsingham, all coming around the same kind of time, but these guys are still so close. They've been fighting all race. Merritt Shintz is going to get the better of them. Whitehead will hold on to the top 15 in 14th place. He might even jump because of the penalty that we see ahead, but no, we're not going to see any more improvements, and I think Mark Vart knows that because of his penalty. But there you go, across the line for Whitehead, Apple, Meyer, Fender. Byrne is also coming across the line now, and then we've got the likes of Valentin Barrier finishing 2, and Wanko Vanko Dimitrov is the last one technically to cross the line today, Jay. It's been a long old race, this one. It's been an hour and a half, and a lot of you stayed with us, so we do thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed our crazy little antics. We're talking about things that didn't have any relevance to the race, but it's been an interesting one today, Jay. A turn of events for the championship, because we had Tinko van der Velde in first position and he came almost last. We had also Dara McCormack was the big signing out there in 9th place in the championship. He didn't even finish the race. Anything else? Mikhail Statsenko didn't even start it, Jay. So yeah, George Boothby's going to absolutely long his championship out. He'll be on 279 points come next week. Grantas Caracas is going to be right behind him, I think. Luke Whitehead may be behind him. Yeah, what a race.
It was. I don't know, because of the dropouts. No, because the scoring only goes down to 30. Right, yeah, no, Van der Velde is not going to get the kind of points that I thought he might for a second there. So yeah, that is going to put George Boothby back into the lead of the championship after missing a round. This is why I love ACC, this race. Just because, well, GT3 racing in general, the way it can change on a dime from track to track. The Ferraris were nowhere last time out in Paul Ricard.
No.
And we were lamenting their struggles. And then they turn it around into easily the most dominant performance we've seen so far in this season. So it just keeps you on your toes, right? And we have got such great drivers this year going for this championship. And you're not going to want to miss the final 3 races, that's for sure.
No, we've only got 3 to go before we crown Season 11 World Champion. And currently, it might be a reigning world champion, because this man, Mr. George Boothby, has done it again. We'll bring in his teammate, because he got very close. Sorry, Joe, you have to sit for a couple of seconds just while we talk to George. I'll put you down so you can continue talking with your chat. I didn't think about that. But anyway, George Boothby comes across the line, only just behind his teammate. Were you holding off a little bit there, George?
No, I managed to pull a bit of a gap in the first stint, but the second stint I just didn't quite have the pace. So I had the gap though, so I sort of was managing a little bit. I thought if I try and push to go as hard as I can, I mean I could try and match Jardier's pace, but there's such a big chance of making a mistake here. So yeah, I couldn't quite hang. But because I had built a gap in the first stint, I was like, okay, I can't quite hang with his pace, but it's I can manage it. So I just sort of calculated if I lose like a tenth or 2 each lap, that's absolutely fine. And yeah, that's how it worked out. So
it still worked out well for you.
Awesome.
I mean,
yeah.
You managed to hold on. I think Jardier was lamenting the issues he had in the first stint of why it cost him a couple of seconds. But you two just ran away. Was that the plan all along?
I knew obviously the Ferrari was probably the best car here, right? So the goal was to try and get the win, especially after last week. So I was sick last week, so I just could not drive at all. So I missed a round. So I just wanted to I just really wanted to get a win today, and I knew I had the pace for it. Like quali went really well. I didn't quite have time to like figure out a race setup, and there's loads of ifs and buts, I guess. Maybe I could have gone a bit quicker in the race if I'd sorted a few things out, but it was enough, and it got us the win. So yeah, very happy, and like proud of Jardy for just being so fast today and was able to get a 1-2. So yeah, really happy.
It's a fantastic result for the team. I think you've actually taken the championship lead as well, so looking good to hold on to that, buddy. So, no, you won't be, because obviously Luke won it last time, but you have won before, didn't you? Wasn't it the one before that? Because you missed out last season, didn't you? Took a step back.
Yeah, I won 2 seasons in a row, and then the last season I wanted to focus on like a few of like the sort of like SRO stuff.
Yes.
But now all that's like calmed down. Like AOI is like, it is the best community league you can enter. So
close.
It's
brilliantly tiered.
Yeah. So I've been loving every round so far. I think the next few rounds are going to be a bit difficult because they are tracks where the Ferraris suffers a little bit. But if I'm going in with a lead, hopefully I can manage
it's
it.
a nice lead as well, mate. It's a nice lead. Chunky old lead. You had a good couple of boys around you, didn't do too well, and the only person around you who did was Grantis Caracas, and he's in a McLaren, so got rid of some Hondas today, crucially, so that's very well done.
That's definitely the aim. Like, so I know the McLaren's going to struggle at Kyalami, so if I can be around the McLaren there, should be able to pip him. But yeah, it's just the next 2 rounds are going to be crucial because they're really poor tracks for the Ferrari. So I've got to just, maximize it, see what happens. And yeah, going into the final round is where we're going to really see if I can potentially get the championship. But yeah.
See how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
See if you can get it across the line. You never know.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, Luke Whitehead took a pounding in the points this time, so you never know. He might come strong at the end, like you say, but we'll have to see. Well, appreciate it, George. Well done. Congrats. We're bringing your teammate. You can stay around if you want or hop out. It's completely down to you. We'll drag up Jardier to have a little chat. Well done, though, George.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Great job.
Great job, George.
Thank you. You too.
Well done, Jardier.
Oh, yeah.
Yo.
The Ferrari finally came good for you.
Oh yes, like obviously, like we know the Indianapolis is a Ferrari track, so I was just after bad 3 races, I was really trying to maximize everything I could, with this car here, because I think George told me the next few tracks are really bad for our cars. So yep.
Well, that's a problem for another day, Hard. Don't worry.
Yes, exactly. That's the Jardier problem in the Monday, so yeah, it's fine.
But talk us through the closing stages of that race. I believe you weren't happy with a few mistakes early. Right towards the end, after being a true Mercedes performance of you guys just walking off into the distance, you really started to close back up on George to make it, at least keep him honest right at the end there. What were those last 5 or 6 laps like? And did you think there was a possibility of getting it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So first of all, I was expecting George to absolutely fly away. Like I was after what he did in a quali and what he said that he can do in a quali. I knew that in the past races that George would just fly away from me. But we were also running completely different setups, so I was kind of hoping that his will be worse or a little bit worse on tires. And in the first like 3-4 laps, I was really surprised that I can actually hold with him, and I was even catching him. But yeah, I was not very happy with myself in the first stint because I did like 3-4 like really stupid mistakes. They were just completely rookie mistakes. I just like went in the grass and understeer in the grass and drifted around and stuff like that. So I was like pretty mad at myself. But and then when I left pits and I was like literally 4.9 seconds behind George, I was like, oh man, this is over. Like at least maybe I can try to push and see what will come out of that. But suddenly I started catching him, and obviously the traffic was there as well. And in the last 10-15 minutes, the pace difference was like 2-3 tenths per lap. So I was like, I knew that I will be close, but I knew also that I will not beat him if he will not make a mistake, So yeah, I was really happy in the end. Like finishing 1 second behind George in the same car is, for me, it's a massive success. So in the end, I'm very, very happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lucky to do that over half a lap. So, to do it over an hour and a half race is a great effort. And it kept it honest right to the end. Just keep that in your back pocket next time you race him, that he starts to struggle the last 5 or 6 laps. So obviously the car looking like it might struggle the next few rounds, but has it been a bit of a challenge adapting to this Ferrari this season so far?
I don't think it's like a particularly like obviously bad car so far, what we saw in the first few races. But those were like a good tracks for this car, you know. I'm a bit worried about what will happen in the next races because obviously our teammate is Summer and I watch Summer quite often and I see him struggling on some tracks massively with the Ferrari and Ferrari doing Ferrari things. And yeah, I mean, with this car is a bit random, you know. There's no fixing the suspension, so you just have to hope, you know, it's gonna somehow work.
That's half the game sometimes. Well, look, it's brilliant to see you back on the podium.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be
Hopefully
here
we'll see it in
finally.
soon.
You came good at the end, man.
Can I just?
Sorry, man.
It's all good. I just want to say, well, I got the opportunity as someone that's had 90% heartbreaks in any 24-hour race. It was heartbreaking to see yesterday, man, and
Thanks.
it was brilliant to watch, and yeah, go get him in the next one.
Thank you so much.
It's always the worst when they're so long.
I was actually really struggling with my wrists or hands, like in the past 20 minutes. I was really hoping for race to be over. Because
I don't know how you do it, man. You're mad, man.
Thank you.
Take care, buddy.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
No worries. Well done. Right, we'll end off quickly with Grantis Caracas. Sorry for the wait, buddy. I know you've been waiting to come in and have a little chat with us. Third place in a McLaren as well. Was it third place? It was third place. And you're also third place in a championship. You might also jump up even further than that after today. Did you think that was always on the cards today? It's great to see you up here again, buddy.
Thank you so much. It was actually a bit unexpected to be like that far up front. Like I was quite off from pace for like top 2, but they were like so quick. But yeah, I was like finally did a very good quali. Got P3 and then I just literally was very consistent throughout the race and no one was able to catch me behind. Yeah, so very happy with the result.
It was good to see that there wasn't the Honda threat that there's been all season, and some other manufacturers were able to have a go as well. But yeah, it must have been quite a boring race for you, to be fair. Like you say, no one was able to keep with you, and you were a little bit out of touch from Boothby and Jardier just ahead. Was there any kind of question at the beginning? Maybe you could stay with them, try your hardest, or did you just kind of focus on your own race?
I was kind of focusing on my own race. Like I saw they had like so much more pace. I mean, I like didn't have any grip for some reason the first laps, but yeah, they were just so much faster than me. So I just drove my race, but it was actually very difficult. Like my whole body is like hurting, you know. Like it's such a hard track to keep the consistency, you know, and like especially for like 90 minutes, it's crazy.
Did you ever think that you might have a threat from behind? Because obviously you had Petruchenko and Price and also Camera in two different... Well, at least Price and Camera were in different cars. Did you ever think that maybe in the second part, with a bit of a strategy change, that someone could come back at you?
If I keep a good pace and consistency, no. I mean, they were pretty quick as well. I think like maybe Petruchenko was like a bit quicker than me, I think, but not so much. But I kept a really good pace, good consistency, and yeah. And it's really good.
Good. Well, Grantis, great to talk to you. It's good to see Lithuania being represented up at the top spot of Community League racing, buddy. It's good to have you in here. I know you've worked your way through the tiers, and it's really good to see you up in the top spots, especially this season when it seems to be dominated by lots of different drivers. It's a very, very close grid. So well done. And this is probably going to put you second place in the standings. So especially it's going to put you in a very good place with a couple of tracks coming up that will favour your car. So yeah, let's see how it goes, and hopefully we have a couple more good results, buddy. Well done.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. See you
no
soon.
problem. We'll speak to you soon. I'm very sure of it, bud. There we go, Jay. We're all done for another day. Indianapolis, it was a long one. I think we'll let everyone enjoy the rest of their evenings. You can join us, at least, me and Jay, the Dream Team, next week round Zolder at 17:30 UK time, where we're doing a normal hour-long race. And that will be, I think, the 5th race of the season, with only 2 more to go after that, which is Monza and Kyalami. But if you want more racing, very much of the same, you can join us tomorrow with John Watts and possibly Timosaurus, but I'm not too sure if Tim will be taking part in the commentary. But Anyway, definitely John Watts will be there. It's incredibly close in the other season, as other tier as well. It looks like Jamie Nuttall is running away at the moment. However, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th are incredibly close, as we saw in this tier, with Makowski falling back a little bit from Nuttall last race. Lucas Roll, Jordan Watson and Nicholas Hurt all very close in the points. So you never know what can happen. We saw a turn of events this time around. We might see another turn of events in tier 2 tomorrow. Anything to end on, Jay, apart from edging kettles?
Oh, wait, no, I'm not.
No, just dumbfounded by that. Yeah.
I say that. No, look, the twists and turns continue, and that's what's been so great about the season so far, and hopefully it continues. On those races where the Hondas aren't competitive, they're really not competitive, which makes the swings in the championship all the more extreme. So, yeah, no, it's an hour and a half's too long. I don't mind doing it once a season, but yeah, it knocks it out of me today. But look, it was a great race nevertheless, and looking forward to the second half of the season and seeing where it takes us. Thank you as always.
No worries. Just to clarify, it's actually Luke and John Watts tomorrow. So it will be Luke Etheridge and John Watts in the comms box for you tomorrow. Old school AOR lineup for you right there. That is a clash of titans. Not quite the dream team though, Jay, you know. We'll be back again. But they are still pretty damn handsy when it comes to talking about a race for an hour and a half. So join them tomorrow at 17:30. Please do. We'll wrap it up tonight. Have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you next week for the latter end of what is this thrilling championship. Can George Boothby do it for another race? Who knows? We'll have to find out.
In a bit.